work with some phenomenal entrepreneurs during that time. This year we had over 500 entries, from which we picked 80 startups to compete in our finals and take part in our pitch coaching. The 10 finalists you'll see today are made up of the 8 winners of those semi-final heats and 2 that won the People's Choice and were voted by the delegates on those semi-final events. You'll get to watch each of them pitch or watch their video pitch, and then you'll see them questioned by our expert panel of entrepreneurs and investors that I'll introduce in a moment. You'll also get to input on the event as well. So I know we can't enjoy any of the wonderful stone-baked pizza and Bristol beer that we had planned for the final, but we can give lots of feedback and inspiration to the people taking part. So please do use the Zoom chat window to get involved. Make sure you're addressing it to everyone, and you can ask questions, give feedback or encouragement. We'll try and feature some of the audience questions in the Q&A as well. And we'll also get the founders to jump into the chat window when they're finished pitching. So you will get to have a conversation with them. Perhaps there's something you think is missing from this pitch, or there's some way you can help them. So do get involved. The final thing you can do is vote for the People's Choice of 2020. So every year we have both an overall winner and we have a People's Choice. So keep in mind who is your favorite pitch, who you think deserves it the most. And at the end of the 10 pitches, we'll start a Zoom poll and you can vote for your winner. After that, we've got a short break just to kind of get feedback from the judges, but we will be announcing both the winner of the overall competition of 2020 and also the People's Choice during the event today. So make sure you stick around to the end. The next thing to do is to introduce our amazing panel of judges. So I'm going to start with John Stapleton, who's the founder of Mission Ventures. He started 2 incredible food businesses in his career that became household names, and he's now gone on to be a mentor and investor of startups. So John, it'd be great if you could give us a quick introduction to yourself and tell us maybe one thing you're looking for in the pitches today.
Sure. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for the introduction. Now very quickly, I guess I'm the food guy, the food and drink guy on the panel. Back in 1987, set up a new Covent Garden soup company and took that to the state it was at. 10 years later, sold it to a company called Daniel's. I then went to the States and did something similar out there, basically fresh soup in a carton for the US market. Unfortunately, that didn't work. So it was a very interesting learning experience. And the third business I set up was called Little Dish, again, back in the UK, which is all about healthy, convenient, tasty meals for kids, for young children. Sold that business in 2017. So I guess I've got, a failure sandwiched between 2 sort of successes, I guess. These days I help small businesses grow. I've got a lot of fingers and lots of pies. I mean that literally at times. And help businesses grow in the context of startups, early stage growth businesses, maybe a little bit further along as well. Hopefully be able to impart some of my knowledge and experience to the new entrepreneurs coming through. Lots of other things as well. I've set up Mission Ventures with my colleagues just this year. We got it moving during lockdown, which is very interesting. What I look for in a pitch, I guess there's probably a couple of things, but really quickly is I love a pitch that comes right up front, tells me exactly what you do in the first couple of seconds. What I hate is coming to think, okay, that's great, nice introduction. Well, what do you actually do? Because that's wasting time and I'm thinking too much about what it is you do. You need to tell me straight up front what it is you do. And then I run with it, and then I feel much more relaxed, and I can really listen to you properly and understand it. And then, the quality of the pitch delivers. So tell me what you want, tell me what you do right up front. And then I'm happy and I can take it all in. Thanks very much.
Brilliant. Thanks for the intro there, John. I really appreciate that. Ed, if you want to go next. So Ed Reeves is the co-founder with his sister of Moneypenny. They launched at the height of a different recession. And bootstrapped in the beginning as well. So fantastic story. And I believe you're now serving hundreds of thousands of small businesses. Is that right, Ed?
Yeah, that's right. So Moneypenny started way back in 2000 with my sister. And we've grown to now, we're now comfortably the world's largest. We've got over 1,000 people between the UK and the US working for us. And supporting millions of times a year, answering calls and providing technology to answer calls for businesses, everything from cinemas through to, I don't know if the pitch use us, in fact they should do. Then a few years ago, really when I met Chris on the pitch, I offloaded half the business and sort of managed to end up with many hundreds of millions of pounds and thinking, what on earth do I do with it? And now I invest in various different ventures and individuals, mainly in the UK. And yeah, I love it. I love working with people. I love working with people who are passionate and with people who've got energy. And I think that probably carries over to what I look for in these finalists here is number one is passion, drive and energy, where people, as long as that comes across, then the product is only half of it. And it's the people are the other half. And to see that character be able to transform into something which becomes sort of tangible profit or opportunity is what this is about.
Lovely, cheers, Ed. So our next judge is Alex from Lux Afrique. Alex started his first business when he was 19 and went on to sell a mobile phone company for 9 million, I believe, in his 20s. He's now starting an own venture himself, as well as mentoring and investing in startups. And I also believe you've been a dragon in Nigeria. Is that right, Alex?
Yeah, correct. I did Dragon's Den. Actually, I was asked to do Dragon's Den UK. I went with Duncan for the audition. Unfortunately, they didn't pick me. So a year later, the franchise was in the market in Nigeria, and I was asked to become a dragon in Dragon's Den Nigeria. So it was good fun filming to be a dragon. And at that time, I was the youngest dragon across the globe when the franchise hit, which was quite interesting. Yeah, just a little bit about me. Obviously, we started entrepreneurship from a very, very young age, run several businesses. And just as mentioned, one of the companies that I started when I was 24 was a mobile ringtone business, which was selling ringtones on their phones. I was very fortunate enough to be able to make a lot of money during the short period of time and sold the company for 9 million in 2004. Since then, I've run several businesses, but the one I run now is a company called Lux Afrique, where we look after 500 ultra high net worths across different parts of Africa. So we're kind of the biggest African concierge company across Africa. And we're about to launch what we consider to be the Net-a-Porter of Africa on the 25th of this month. So quite excited about launching an e-commerce platform that sells luxury goods and delivers them to all 54 countries in Africa. In regards to the pitches that we're about to see, I'm quite excited. As a young entrepreneur, I like to see people with passion, love, tenacity, and more importantly, I want to know if you're actually solving a problem, because most people start up a business just saying, I want to do something, but are you actually solving an issue? Is there a market for what you're trying to do? So I'm quite excited to see if that's the case. And yeah, wish you all the best and good luck.
Perfect, and great to hear. So our next judge is Heather Franco. She started, I think it was a PA teacher, originally left that to start a apprenticeship training company called Lifestyle, which she exited for in excess of £100 million. She now runs Bud, a software training company, Origin, and is also an active investor. So Heather, likewise, if you give a quick intro to who you are and why you like supporting startups.
Hi, thanks, Chris, and thanks for that introduction. And I'm really excited to be watching the pitches today. My first time watching these pitches, so yeah, really excited to see what we've got today. And also really sad that we couldn't be hosting it in Origin Workspace. It would have been lovely to have seen everybody there today. And Origin really, I started Origin really to sort of add a little bit to the business community in Bristol. As Chris said, I originally was a teacher and then started an entrepreneurial career, starting a training business with no real ambition to grow it initially, very much a lifestyle business, but that sort of took on legs after about 10 years. So by the time I exited that business in 2016, I had over 1,000 staff in there, training across the UK with many of the largest brands in hospitality, leisure and care. So a really exciting journey. I understand that journey as an entrepreneur right from the start. And since selling, I've been involved with Bristol Private Equity Club and made some investments in sort of fintech and edtech, and also sort of social impact businesses. And obviously Origin is one of my babies, and a software business that I'm scaling at the moment. So lots of different things, and experience of that entrepreneurial journey from having done it, with nothing right at the start with the Lifetime Training Group, right the way through to, I guess, doing things slightly differently now and being an investor. So I've loved that journey, and I'm really looking forward to just seeing your pitches today. And like the other panelists, that bit of enthusiasm and energy for me is really important in a startup. It's hard work along the way, and so hence that energy and enthusiasm is so key, just to keep you going through, and resilience, obviously, to deal with those tough times. And I guess the other big bit for me is knowing the marketplace. So knowing the marketplace that you're going into and understanding that, for me, that's what a really good business needs. Thanks, Chris.
Fantastic. Thanks, Heather. Almost had the obligatory myself on mute moment there. So yeah, it's fantastic to hear a bit more about your story. And I love the fact that so many of our judges are coming back from having successful business ventures and then kind of reapplying that knowledge both to their own startups, but also to helping others, which is what the pitch is all about. Our final judge for today is Luke Lang. Luke launched equity crowdfunding platform Crowdcube with a co-founder in 2008. So again, used to launching a business in recession. They were the biggest, they're now one of the biggest seed investors in the UK. So Luke, it'd be fantastic to hear a sort of summary of your story and what gets you excited about some of the pitches and startups that you work with.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chris. Just to begin with, it's really proud to be supporting the pitch again. It's several years now since we've been working together on this, and it's always a highlight of the year for us. So great stuff there. As Chris said, Darren and I co-founded Crowdcube back in at the tail end of the last recession, or the beginning of it, I guess, maybe in 2008, 2009. We launched in 2011, so we're coming up to our 10th anniversary. In that time, we funded well over 1,000 businesses. There's been over £1 billion invested through the site, and there's now over 1 million members. So we've got a pretty big investor community there, and nothing gives us more pleasure than funding great, interesting, exciting entrepreneurs. So for me, it's all about why you started the business, what purpose you've got, what difference you want to make to the world. What's your big vision, big or small, actually. It doesn't need to be a big grandiose kind of game-changing vision. And myself, like Ed and Alex, I love the grit, determination, passion, energy and ambition that drives a lot of these businesses towards their goal and towards success. So I'd be really interested to see some of that really shining through in some of the pitches today. So yeah, really excited, looking forward to hearing and watching the pitches. Good luck to everyone involved. I hope the nerves aren't getting too much for you at the moment.
Brilliant, thanks, Luke. Yeah, it's obviously a very different format this year. Normally it'd be a crowd of 100 or 200, so maybe that's maybe being online makes the nerves easier. I don't know. So the final thing, sort of bit of housekeeping to do before we get into the pitches, is to thank our partners. So the first one is Crowdcube, as Luke mentioned. They've supported us for the last few years. So a huge thanks to the team there. Our partners allow us to run the pitch. They allow us to keep it free for the startups to take part. So that's fantastic. They not only support the pitch, but they get involved in the educational part as well. So Crowdcube runs workshops with our founders and also works with them on a one-to-one basis. And we've had some incredible alumni go on to have really successful raises on the platform, including Small Robot Company that funded by 200% to raise more than £2 million in January. So fantastic to see that journey and to keep working with Crowdcube over the years. Our second partner this year is Studio Graphene. They turn ideas into show-stopping designs. That means building both websites and apps and helping startups with marketing too. They also do some specialist technology like IoT. Again, they've done a lot of work with the community this year, run one-on-one sessions with founders and helping them with the challenges they have around development, choice of technology platforms, and things like that. So a huge thanks to Ratan, Nathan, and the team over at Studio Graphene. Our final partner is Origin Workspace. It's where Box2 Media is based, and it's where we would have been having the final had we not all been in a massive lockdown. So the team here is really supportive. They built the environment around sort of health, well-being, and community. So it's a lovely place to work and for us to be based. And if you are looking for a co-working space in the Southwest, I really recommend you check them out. The community is really supportive. There's lots of startups to learn from, and the Box2 Media's team is based here too, so you get to hang out with us. So that's our introduction. So again, huge thanks to the partner and judges for taking part. The first picture we've got today is Wishu. They actually had to jump in at the last minute as we had a founder drop out due to health reasons. So a huge thanks to them. They did come joint third in the People's Choice and joint first in their semi-final category. So they absolutely deserve to be here, and they missed out by a hair's breadth in getting to the final anyway. So really thanks for putting your pitch together so fast. And Kat, if you could cue the pitch video for us now.
7% of jobs will vanish in the next 25 years. Why? Because our future economy is built on tech automation. But there's one type of job that is resilient to this trend: creative jobs. However, the creative recruitment process is still using Google and social media to source and hire. This lack of tech infrastructure causes each creative on average to lose up to £5,000 and 20 working days chasing late payments every year. And we're here to change that. Wishu is a creative freelancer marketplace, network, and workflow tool for creative businesses and agencies to book creators in film, design, fashion, and music. So how does that make Wishu different? 1. Unlike your average creative freelancer marketplace, we eliminate the concerns matching with random freelancers. Just like Tinder, everybody wants a good match. Wishu's top talents are ID verified, portfolio checked, and no one can apply for project briefs unless they're 100% profile ready. 2. Unlike your average social network of creatives, we provide tools for creators to get shortlisted, get into a conversation, get booked, and have their pay secured in an escrow system. Not to mention, we'll even have invoicing, contracting, and other tools coming soon. 3. Unlike your average creative membership clubs, we don't charge a monthly fee for inside information or to even make friends in the industry. Our personalized feed is perfect for building a network of connection for future collaborations. Can it get better? Oh yes, we'll be introducing premium tools for creators to manage their entire project pipeline, and tools for clients to even book a team. Why do we care? Because 1 in 11 UK jobs are creative jobs, and 70% of creative talents freelance. Our product team has built the product marketplace Depop and advisors who are experts in creative recruitment. We have attracted and curated 9,000 members, so despite of COVID-19, our creators are still on track to make the most of this year. We're raising our pre-seed round to expand our product and team, so join us and let's create the next chapter of what it means to be the independent creator.
Fantastic. Thanks for that pitch, Lavenu. And I really appreciate the really clear explanation of your USP. So if you want to quickly kind of introduce yourself, and then we'll start with the Q&A with John, please.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me properly? Firstly, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much. I think it's an honor to be finally joined the finalists. And I think regardless of the results, we're just happy to be here learning from all of the advisors and judges later on with the questions and seeing all the other entrepreneurs who are still fighting despite of this hard time. So yes, let's jump on with the questions. I'm Lavina from Wishu.
Lavina, great to meet you virtually.
Nice to meet you.
And thank you for your pitch, and well done for jumping in at the last minute, I believe. So my question is, just to clarify, it's a kind of a booking platform for the creative industry as I understood it. How do you generate awareness for your brand? How do you make sure that your clients, on both sides, in terms of the booking side, how do they know about you? How are you going to generate awareness for you, given all the clutter and all the noise that's out there?
Yes, of course. So I think we've chosen a pretty niche demographic that we're focusing on. The categories that we're focusing on are film, music, design, and so on and so forth. So you can, for example, find videographers, photographers, you can find makeup artists, you can find stylists. This is the niche that most marketplaces aren't focusing on. So this group of people, they're still very familiar with like membership schemes, and they will pay for membership clubs that will only give them like information and stuff. So from the very beginning, we've been focusing on cultivating the community. And we have one of my co-founders specifically focused on the community building, where we host, for example, during COVID-19, we host every event. We have around 200, 300 members coming to the platform. So we have a few strategies, including that from the very beginning, including piggyback, grassroots strategies, where we really invite the top talents onto the platform. At the beginning, it was very, what's the word? It was very just very hands-on. We were in each categories, we choose 150 top talents, and then we go into every platform where we can find them and invite them onto the platform. That was the very beginning of the journey. At the end, at the last 2019 November, and then in the past couple, and afterwards, after like around 2-3 months, it really started to kick in the organic acquisition itself, because these creatives, they're not familiar with the whole concept of marketplace, and they love the concept that they don't need to pay a membership scheme, they don't need to pay for all of these secure payment system where their funds get locked in the platform. And then we started to see their co-workers coming to the platform, and one of the most requested features from these freelancers were, when can I share my profile? So I can actually send the link for my Wishu profile link, send it to my client. And my clients can actually book me through the platform. So I don't have to run 10 different, my personal website, my social media, and all of the other like SEO things I need to pay for myself. Yeah, so yeah, hope that answers your question.
Right, no, it does, perfect. I've got lots more questions, but I guess I'm gonna move on to the other guys. Thanks.
Ed?
Hi, Lavina. Sorry, I'm slow on that thing. Just need to hit the space bar. I need to remember these things. Very quickly. I love these things, but there is there's a lot of competitive platforms out there, aren't there? But in terms of your side of it, what's on the financials of it? And this is where I struggle with a lot of these. So how much of a slice are you taking, and how does that work in terms of the because effectively you have the buyer and the provider of the service. So who's paying? Because if you've got no subscription element.
Oh, that's a brilliant question. Thank you for bringing that question. So at the moment, so the reason why we call ourselves Market Network is because we really want to build the next chapter of what it means to be a marketplace. So it's not just a marketplace, but we integrate workflow tools of SaaS, which brings the subscription, which we're actually introducing in Q1 next year. And on top of that, we have this whole social aspect. So currently the marketplace aspect, we're charging 7% on the provider and 5% on the client side. And then when we're building on more of the package for the premium tools for both of the freelancer and the client, we'll be able to actually bring the packages for both sides who requires more complex tools to run their projects on the platform.
And at the moment, you've got 9,000 members active on us at the moment. So, have you got income? Are they generating income at the moment?
Yes. So we have a GMV. Yes.
Okay. And growing? Has it grown through the last sort of 6 months of?
Yeah, thankfully, because originally we launched our product on iOS. So that's when we were really, that's when the creatives thought this is really unique, because they get to actually use a mobile platform to actually run their whole creative profile, where they can actually get booked. But then one of the hurdles that we encountered during that process was the client side wanted to be from the web, wanted to book their creatives from the website. So we literally just launched the website last month. And we've been getting more organic client side, more bigger creative businesses, bigger agencies signing up. So we're really lucky that even with the COVID-19 situation, these creatives are still thriving. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Great. Alex?
Hi, Lavina. Yeah, very interesting. Because I use Freelancer and Fiverr a lot, especially for looking for recruitment of freelancers out there. What would you say differentiate your business? As Ed rightly pointed out, there's lots of competition out there. What's that one key thing, do you think, that makes you stand out from everybody else?
Yes, of course. So I think with all of the marketplaces out there, a lot of them, and this is one of the struggle for us at the very beginning as well, when you open the door to everyone, you get, for example, like hundreds of thousands users on the platform, but then the quality ones, the people who clients usually choose are the top, let's say top 5, top 3% of whoever is out of the total user on the platform. So what we did is that we started to look at how can we really increase the quality of the platform by introducing only top creatives, which in turn will get the top clients on the platform. So for example, on that side, on the creatives, we curated them by, we have to have ID verification. You can't apply for any jobs unless you're 100% profile approved, which include you have your portfolio posted, you have your offers listed, which has clear price tag of how much of their service is worth, how much are they selling. So only if, and also minimum words of 150 describing themselves about who they are, their background, and how many years of experience working in the industry. So this way, we can really attract the quality clients and the quality freelancers on the platform. So that's one. And second, we're not just a marketplace, we're also a network. So the reason why we chose this for niche is because they usually collaborate in one project. So for example, let's say a advertisement agency, you need to create an ad for Coca-Cola, and you need a whole team of videographers, stylists, makeup artists, editing, post-production team, all of that. So then that's why we chose this scheme. So when, for example, if you're a client, you're booking for this project, you can actually post a few posts and say, okay, these are the role I need, and these are the people who can collaborate each other, which brings me to my next point of booking a team. So that's going to be in one of our premium tools for the client side. That really streamline and ease off the entire pipeline of managing a creative project, where a client can actually book a team of different creatives for one specific project. And three, despite compared to the usual membership clubs that creatives are usually familiar with, they can not only just know all of the insider information with the community, we also have the social aspect. So that's when we're talking about combining the marketplace plus workflow tool plus the social aspect, where they can follow each other, they can update each other with their portfolio posts, and they can chat to each other and actually collaborate. We've had a lot of creatives collaborate with each other on the platform. So for example, a music producer booking a makeup artist for the next song he's coming, or finding a designer or a sound engineer. Yeah.
Great. I had to cut that short. We've got time for one more quick question. So Heather or Luke, do you want to take the final question? And hopefully, if you could ask something quite succinct, that'd be brilliant.
Got a quick one. I'd love to. Sorry, Heather, you were just about to ask. Then, if you want to, I'd be really keen to dive into the traction a little bit more. You said you had 9,000 customers. How's that broken down between clients and creators? How's that grown year on year? How many of those of you have joined this year? And give me a sense of the bookings and how they're growing as well.
Yes, sure. So at the beginning of this year, we were growing 27% month on month with our GMV. And during the lockdown around April, because the whole world was a little bit in shock, that was slowing down a bit, but it climbed back up around July time. So out of that 9,000 members, we have around 12% who are clients. And we thought we need to really grow that, because the fact that we have so many quality creatives on the platform, but then we really need to unlock the client side even more. That's when we really focused on, and we stopped spending all of the marketing costs. Before we were spending around like £10 per day on marketing cost, which is not really any marketing cost. Because we were all like acquiring both sides organically, that's why we really pushed out launching the product on the web to really unlock more of the client side. A lot of these bigger clients who have bigger ticket size are looking for directly posting their project briefs from the website instead of downloading up iOS. So that's when we launched the website last month. That's when we're really connecting both to each other. Yeah.
Great, thank you. We've run out of time there, so thanks so much for pitching today, Lavina.
Thank you so much. Oh, and yeah, so if you have any questions, please contact me at lavina@wishu.io, and don't forget we're Wishu. Thank you so much for your time.
Love it, and do post that in the chat window too, Lavina. So our next pitch is from Punk Money. Kat, if you could cue that up now.
Money. Allegedly, it makes the world go round, but in fact, it's a constant source of worry for millions of people, with over 15 million Brits having less than 100 quid in their bank accounts and 40% of us finding it hard to access affordable credit. That's why Punk Money is on a mission to end money worries for good, with fair and affordable loans direct from one person to another. My name's Ewan Dickey, and I'm CEO and founder, with over 15 years marketing and advertising experience.
I'm Nick Stevens, co-founder and CFO, and together we've established a team of industry experts across technology, risk, banking and marketing. Now, consumer credit is changing. Risk scores are no longer fit for purpose. They're backwards looking, relying on a history of debt payments and a monthly salary. That just doesn't work for young people without debt, nor for those in the gig economy who we now recognise as our essential workers. And that is where Punk Money steps in. With open banking connectivity, we've got the best data to generate live risk scores and offer dynamic pricing on our community loans. And the friend-to-friend product allows lending between those who know you best, at mates' rates, and on the terms of your choosing. So this market is huge. It's £20 billion in the UK and growing to $5 trillion globally. It's about time we got started.
The world is crying out for community loans. Our MVP is already in markets, and we have over 4,000 people already signed up to our lending platform. We're growing at around 20% week on week, and our aim is to have over 10,000 users by the time we go live. This is where we need your help. We're entering into the market right when the world needs us. Because of COVID, credit scores are useless and banks aren't lending. Our brand is designed to be deliberately disruptive, hugely memorable, and resonate with our target audience. We are SCIS and EIS Advance Assured, and we're raising £500,000 right now to bring this world-changing product to market. We've been Punk Money. We want you to join our mission.
Fantastic. Thanks for the pitch there, Ewan. Probably one of the best choreographed I've seen in the competition so far. And I appreciate you've got the screen behind you as well. So if you two want to introduce yourselves, and then we'll go to Heather for the first question.
Sure thing. My name's Ewan Dickey. I'm a CEO and founder of Punk Money, and I'm joined by Nick.
Rookie error. Nick Stevens here. I am co-founder, CFO. I have a background in banking. No surprise, most recently at JP Morgan, where I was managing a credit portfolio. Back over to you, Ewan.
You and Nick, it was great to hear that pitch. Lots of energy and enthusiasm in it. My question really is, what inspired you to start the business in the first place?
I was originally kind of working with open banking, which is a financial system set up here in the UK when I was working back in my marketing days. And I was working closely with the developers and identified there was an opportunity to address the sort of the incredibly poor job really that banks were doing in sort of taking people's cash and allowing people to sort of borrow it affordably by connecting people directly on a platform, using the data and creating a new, more advanced, forward-looking type of credit risk profile.
And what does success look like for you? What would you like people to say about the business in 10 years?
So Punk Money, we are a brand that's for the people, by the people. We are an ethical fintech that allows people to invest their money and get a decent return and save other people an absolute fortune as well at borrowing on the platform. We want to put ethics and people at the forefront of everything we do, ensuring that we're fair and supportive and reasonable the whole way through. We see Punk Money as being a hugely disruptive brand. Firstly, we're starting in loans, but the entire of the finance industry could be revolutionized really from the ground up, and that's really where we see ourselves. We want to see Punk Money at the absolute forefront of that kind of movement, where people are at the heart of the finance industry, and that we're sort of doing a good job really for everyone involved.
That's great, thank you.
John?
Thanks, Chris. Really like the pitch, guys. Great, innovative approach. Love it. And you guys come across really well, like you know what you're talking about. And I agree with you, Ewan. It's coming across as very much a disruptive brand. Disruptive is great, and I'm part of disruptive all the time in terms of the food and drink space. My question is really focused on competition and traction at the same time. It's kind of like, you know, what are you going to do to make sure you're not overrun by the competition, whoever that might be? Either other cool, disruptive, punky guys like you, or more established banks, if they can get their head around doing this sort of thing. You know, how do you stay ahead? I see you've got the momentum. I see you're up and running, but you know, there's a lot of activity out there in fintech, ethical fintech or whatever. So a lot of private equity money behind a lot of startup businesses and disruptive opportunities. How do you make sure you're going to stay ahead of the game and be successful and not be subsumed by the tsunami? Because the opportunity is clear.
So of course, as you point out, the opportunity is huge. We're entering into what we conservatively estimate to be a $5 trillion market globally. Obviously, we've got sort of the fact that we're already in motion on our side. We are working within the UK as well with a whole heap of legislation which has just been passed quite recently, which we are developing in line with, as opposed to other companies having to retrospectively change their business models, etc. When it comes to big banks, we really don't see them as challengers, because the opportunity they have to enter into this market, they could have taken a long time ago. And in fact, also with other smaller entities as well, particularly loans companies and things like that, they've had the opportunity to move. The technology has been around since 2018. There have not been any sort of large moves into the market. We are designing within our product a certain amount of virality, which is going to be inherent to actually the way we onboard our users. That's to do with how Punk Money is a community platform, where we'll sort of have people onboarding their friends, creating networks of trust essentially within their own communities of people who they'll lend to, and thereby expanding very rapidly. So our approach is to launch as soon as we can, hopefully, and then grow very rapidly to become a market leader as soon as possible, and thereby sort of cut off the competitors at the root.
Like it.
Brilliant.
Like it.
Guys, I think it's a really exciting business, and I have to say, yeah, great pitch, and also your other video where you were walking around chucking it at each other is brilliant. Well done, and engaging, and that's the thing. And so, but firstly, do you need a banking license?
So we will have an FCA principal acting for us. There will be an approved representative of that business. The specific FCA regulation is called operating an electronic platform in relation to lending, which we will have by virtue of this regulatory umbrella, and then in time we'll presumably go and get the same thing for ourselves. But as a sort of step into the market, we can we've got a partner to run with.
Okay, and then second question is that there's a certain, anybody who enters into this space does so with a certain amount of intrepidation because of the payday loan territory, the Wongas of this world and so on. You've got to do a big job to differentiate yourself from that. What are you doing for it?
Well, I think that probably comes back to, maybe you will jump in, but fundamentally we're targeting a different customer base. So, you know, ultimately we're hitting up the sort of person who's been overlooked or maltreated perhaps by the mainstream financial institutions, and they've sort of fallen out of their love.
But I don't understand, why is that different? Isn't that exactly what payday loans are doing?
That would be one end. That would be sort of a more extreme end of the market, I would say. There are definitely some people who get pushed into that spectrum, but for whom we would contend could be better served by something more middle ground. And of course, there are going to be some people that we won't necessarily cover the ground of. We are offering as well a friend-to-friend product. So there are opportunities for people who might not otherwise pass the credit checks to seek support from friends, family, community on different terms.
Okay, and lastly, investment received from to date, or is it bootstrapped to date? What have you done, and what sort of compelling numbers can you throw back at us, which would sort of blow our socks off as per your video?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So we've done a small raise to date, friends and family round of around £50,000. We're currently raising £500,000 in order to finalise the product and bring it to market. The next step along our fundraising journey, we're anticipating being a crowdfunding raise in about April time. We're raising currently with a valuation of 2 million, but anticipating a 10 million valuation at the point of crowdfunding. In terms of users, we have onboarded within the last 4 months nearly 5,000 users onto the platform. We've recently launched our MVP, of a friend-to-friend product, which is a product launching into a completely brand new market where people can lend loans directly from one to other. In fact, we've applied to trademark the F2F market. Everyone knows the P2P market. We're sort of going after the F2F market as well. So literally people lending directly to one another. And so far as well, we've got a very balanced number of lenders and borrowers on our platform, with around about £2 million already committed to lend.
Perfect. We're running out of time here, so if it's all right, Heather and Alex, I'm going to go to Luke, because I know you work very closely with Monzo and know what it's like to scale a disruptive company as well.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. I guess I know more than most how tricky or how difficult it is to acquire investors, or in this case, it's lenders, I guess. So I'd be really interested to know how you're going to acquire lenders and indeed borrowers to the market. And secondly, I guess how you credit score these individuals will become really important to ensure that you don't end up with lots of bad debt or defaults. Or do you not see that as your problem? That's the problem between the borrower and the lender. But I do agree there's a massive market of people that have been labelled subprime when they're not really, actually, and they've just had some bad circumstances, and that is a huge opportunity. So be interested to hear your views on those 2 points.
Nick, do you want to jump in with the credit score?
Yeah. So the credit score point. So absolutely, we will. So I mean, technically, the lender on the platform is at risk, but the reality is we're running the platform and we're managing that part of the process. So we absolutely need to be on top of that. We will start by deploying the best of the status quo in terms of credit bureau scoring and alternative data that's available. But in parallel, we're also launching with an open banking connectivity, and that's really the core of how we look to differentiate amongst the types of users that have been slipping out of the mainstream banking proposition.
So do you come up with your own sort of credit score, the punk score?
Ultimately, that's what we will be. Yeah, I mean, the consolidation of our data will then be what gives us a sort of internal punk score, so to speak, and gives us a chance to as I say, differentiate a little bit beyond what a bureau score looks like. But of course, we are, and these are genuine loans. Will be a provider of through an information sharing agreement with the credit bureaus. So payment performance is something that we'll have to share back for our borrowers, so they will have the chance to also boost their general credit profile outside of the Punk platform.
Perfect. We'll have to wrap up there. I think everyone thought that the pitch was fantastic and some good answers to some challenging questions there. So thanks for taking part. We've had a series of questions from the audience as well. So Ewan and Nicholas, if you could jump into the chat window over there and get back to everyone, that'd be...
Absolutely. If anyone wants to get in touch, please find us at punk.money or email ewan@punk.money. Thank you.
Perfect. So our next pitch video is Terrible Merch.
Tosha. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Terrible Merch. We're a product management company with a platform and mobile app where artists can make, manage, distribute, and sell physical products to their fans online and at shows. Essentially, we help artists make money in the last remaining physical revenue stream in music without a digital competitor. Merch is a now vital source of revenue for artists in the age of music streaming, but artists struggle to make, manage, and sell it effectively. Why do artists and other merch companies, for that matter, struggle to manage this process effectively? For myriad reasons. Overstocking, poor logistics, poor design, poor quality, inability to take borderless payments, and not investing in financial relationships with fans. So how is Terrible Merch fixing this? Well, we're making the right products at the right volume. We're providing great design and great quality. We're facilitating borderless payments, and we're providing specialist tools and support. Now, anyone can say they provide specialist tools and support. We've actually built our own. TM Live is an online platform and a mobile app. It's a simple and effective tool for live music and merchandise businesses online and at show. And we know TM Live works because we tested it with over 21 artists over 10 days, and we saw them make £6,150 each in revenue over those 10 days. Terrible Merch made $3,127 per artist in the same time. Scaling that up to 1,000 artists in any given month, we're hitting 8-figure annual revenues and processing twice as much on behalf of our artists. We have the highest value per user than any other software in the music industry. The merchandise market itself is currently worth $25 billion, and it's growing. Terrible Merch has over 400 clients, and we've already made over 1.3 million in revenue. We're currently looking for £1 million in our seed fundraising round.
Great pitch there, Tertia, and it's a really important mission, and I think it's one of those businesses where COVID has made it doubly important what you're doing and being able to support that sector. So if you want to just sort of say your name and introduce yourself quickly, and then we'll go to Heather for the first question.
So I'm Tertia. I run Terrible Merch day to day with a really fantastic team here in London, and also now a little bit in LA, and I'm super excited to be here and speak to you guys.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that pitch and for telling us all about your business. Can you just break down what are your key revenue streams and what are you achieving through those each year at the moment?
Well, last year's revenue was over $500,000. We're kind of on track to do the same today. And considering we had a new revenue stream come up this year that we had never exploited before, it's pretty good going. We're hoping to hit $1 million, but cautiously, being cautious with the lockdowns. And our revenue drivers, basically, because we are essentially a B2B marketplace, comes from, product management, procurement and sourcing. It also comes from like selling online, delivering and selling at shows when artists are back on the road. And we take percentages of revenue in those places, and also we have a margin on the manufacturing. There's a few more opportunities down the line for even more revenue with the marketplace option, but we're not just there yet.
And what's been the biggest area of growth for you within that revenue?
We're known. The thing that makes the most money at the moment is the delivering of merchandise and products. We're really well known for high quality products that are sustainable and that fans love to buy and that are relevant to audiences. So that's what people come to us for, and that's what has been driving our revenue so far.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, and well done for that growth.
Alex?
Yeah, I love the idea. I love the way you pitched it and kind of explained your business. It was kind of it's rolling off the tongue. It was seamless.
Thanks.
I love that about the idea. So how do you onboard the celebrities, the musicians to come on board? How do they trust you amongst, going to the record label and working with the record label and saying, you sort that out rather than come to you?
Well, the record labels trust us as well, so they often send them to us. It's reputation. We're a company that was started by musicians that were major label signed or independent and producers, and also I came from the fashion industry. So when people first came to us, word spread fast, and it's kind of continued from that. Like everything in the music industry, word of mouth is pretty essential, and so are relationships. We also brand all our products. So when people come across our merchandise or other artists or even fans, they kind of start to demand that quality, and therefore they come to us to get it.
Amazing. And obviously, when you're starting, how difficult was for you to actually get the product right? Because it's not, you have to, obviously source it and get it right and make sure that the brands are, yeah.
I mean, yeah, you have to treat every artist like a brand. So it's vital that that point is gotten right. And I think our background in fashion, coming from the fashion industry, ensured that happened. There's a lot of, you can make a product badly a lot of ways, but there's only a few ways you can make a good product. So experience got us there quicker than everyone else.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think spot on. It's very seamless and quite straightforward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. And John?
That's great. Tertia, great idea. Nice pitch. I really understand what you do very quickly. So that was great. I've got one very quick question and then a bit more involved question. One is, did you say earlier, the answer to a previous question from Heather, that you take a margin also on the merchandise sold at gigs?
Yes, we do. So that is because we facilitate the payments, and we also, that's kind of where the technology that we built comes in. It saves enough money that we can take a bit of money on there.
Okay, great. No, I mean, that's really cool. That's fantastic that you can do that as well in a different channel to market, if you like. My question really is clearly solving a headache for the record industry and for the bands who really want to get on with music and logistics and not worry about this stuff. Did you say you're raising $1 million, something like that?
Yes, yeah, we are.
Really got traction, you got up and running, and things are moving. So what are you going to spend $1 million on, and how is it going to make a difference to achieving your goals in the next, I don't know, whatever it is, 12 months?
Yeah. So the next, we're raising $1 million for 2 years just because of the current climate, and we'd like not to keep raising and get to work properly. It will be to roll out the rest of our technology. So we'd like to build in the supply chain marketplace. We'd also like to hire a few new key team members as well and keep them on full time to kind of grow it. We'd like a marketing department. We've never done outbound marketing before. We'd also like to set up a bit more in the States. We currently have 30% of our artists are US based, but we'd like to grow that because it's the biggest music market in the world. And of course, we'd like to get a foothold in Europe and in the European music industry because we're no longer a part of that with Brexit. So it is mostly for the growth of the technology and a bit of marketing, and also growing the team.
Smashing. I love it. That's really good.
Thank you.
Give us a chance. Thanks, Chris.
Ed?
I have to confess, brilliant business. I'm sorry. The advantage of doing it this way is I can look at your websites at the same time, and it all makes sense. And anybody who says they're not doing that, I don't believe them, because everyone does, and it's brilliant. But I don't know anything about this space, and so who else is doing it, and how big are they, and how have they got there as opposed to the way you're doing it?
They've been doing it an awful long time. They've probably been doing it since. The youngest of the merchandise companies that we compete with is, I think, 12 years old. This has been going on since the 60s, and it's never really updated. So we're talking about most of the merchandise companies are now owned by major labels, people like Bravado, or there's another one owned by Live Nation, who's a promoter and a ticketer. But the one thing that we have over them is that when we came to this market, we realized that number one, it was being done really badly. And number two, it was really inefficient, and it was costing artists loads of money. So we set out to make it more effective for artists and more profitable for them, like the fashion industry is. And in that, we found that we'd have to hire hundreds and hundreds of people to do that, like our competitors have done. So instead, we set out to build technology that eliminates all of the inefficiencies in the supply chain and makes it more makes more money for artists to earn that way, because most of the artists aren't really making money.
I know we're going to run out of time. Can you very quickly just give us a snapshot of that technology? Because if you've got technology which is obviously going in your direct sales and the event sales, then that's a really interesting thing. But I don't understand how you can cash in on an item sold at an event. What's that technology?
Well, it manages, it's a platform that manages everything from scheduling to inventory. And then we're building in a fintech part of it to manage the sale directly to fans with NFC payment technology that's coming in with Apple and Android in the next 6 months. So being able to manage all of those processes is going to selling anything at a live event or a show or even a pop-up store later down the line if it's outside of music. There's a small percentage fee that'll come on top of that, as the same as with Stripe or PayPal would do that. But it also means that we make money on products that we don't manufacture, such as physical music.
Okay, brilliant. Love it. Well done, Tricia.
Thank you.
Amazing. We do have a time for a quick one from you, Luke.
What's your most popular product?
Oh, this is going to be really depressing. It's a black t-shirt. But we make much cooler ones than that, I promise. We've made like scented candles that smell like someone's ex-boyfriend who they made a record about. We've made actual money. We've made Afro bucket hats. We've done some much cooler things than just t-shirts.
Have you got, like, with your tech, just following up on Ed's point, can do fans have to go to your website to purchase, or can you embed the shop into a band's website, for instance?
I mean, we will facilitate it however works best for the fan base that's already active. Music is really different. Every artist has a different way of doing things and selling things. So we're really dynamic, and that's how come this technology is needed, because there is no one size fits all solution out there yet.
Cool, thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for taking part, Shane. It'd be brilliant if you could post a link and say hello to everyone in the chat window as well, because I'm sure everyone wants to see the cool merch that you have. Thank you. So our next pitch video is from Valiant Lingerie, which have an incredible purpose. And Kat, if you could play the video for us now.
This year, 1 in 7 women in the UK will develop breast cancer. This is roughly 1 diagnosis every 10 minutes. When I was 24, I underwent a double mastectomy. During my recovery, I noticed a significant gap in the market for lingerie that was not only sensitively designed for post-operative bodies, but was also feminine and stylish. My name is Eleanor, and I'm a former lawyer turned designer and founder of Valiant Lingerie. Women who've had surgery for breast cancer have specific requirements and can't simply buy normal underwire bras, but existing post-surgery lingerie is at best beige, clinical, and plain. This has a significant impact on body image and mental health post-surgery. That's why at Valiant, we're creating innovative lingerie that is sensitive to post-surgery bodies, but is also luxurious and beautiful. In 2018, the intimate sector was valued at approximately $29.8 billion globally, and it was forecast to reach a value of $49.5 billion in 2025. Within the wider intimate sector, there is a significant market for post-mastectomy garments. Approximately 55,000 women are diagnosed with breast cancer every year in the UK alone, and there are an estimated 600,000 women alive in the UK following a diagnosis of breast cancer. This is predicted to rise to 1.2 million in 2030. There are competitors within this space, however, there's been a lack of innovation for decades. We've conducted market research which confirmed that existing products are, and I quote, dowdy, frumpy, and mostly functional. Our audience told us that they want lovely designs and colours, great quality, and something that makes them feel feminine. Since the end of last year, we've been engaging daily with this community, and we've built a pool of supporters and potential customers. We've also been invited to speak at relevant events, such as the first ever Wellbeing Day for UK women with secondary breast cancer, and we're becoming involved with a charity for women who are affected by one of the breast cancer genes. We are currently working with a specialist lingerie development studio in London to create our first collection, which will go live for pre-orders within the next few weeks. Our model is direct to consumer via our e-commerce site, and our collection will be produced in London. We will shortly be looking for seed investment to continue with the development of products for this amazing group of women and to answer the very real demand in the market. Thank you for your time. I welcome any questions.
Great pitch there, and a really powerful story and purpose behind the brand. Eleanor, if you want to say hello and introduce yourself, and then we'll go to John first for questions.
Hi everyone, yes, I'm thrilled to be here. I hope you can all hear me okay. My name's Eleanor, I'm the founder of Valiant Lingerie, and I'm really delighted to be here and have this opportunity to speak with you all.
Eleanor, hi, great to meet you, and really nice pitch, really succinct, really captured everything that I needed to know about it. My question is going to be, well, actually, let me start by saying I'm a great believer in consumer or customer insight. Really know your customer, your target market. You clearly do. You are one, and you've gone out there and spoken to the community. My question is, how big is this community? How can you scale your business, or how do you feel you can scale your business? Clearly, there is, worldwide, global market ultimately, I guess, but it's a niche category, niche product. You have to kind of sell to a lot of these people a large proportion of a small category in order to scale a business. How do you answer that, and how do you capture that opportunity?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, because I think this is a niche which is suddenly finding its voice and is appearing in communities online. So to date, we've been growing our presence organically. There are several groups worldwide that we've begun tapping into that have helped us in this respect. There's a growing group of young women who are either diagnosed as with breast cancer and have been through the treatment, or also the young women who are undergoing preventative treatment. This is something that has really risen to prominence over the last decade, basically. And it is a presence that is growing online, and has, over the last sort of 5 years or so, really started establishing their voice and their demand. And that is the pool that I am beginning to tap into, really. Historically, I think that brands in this sector have been looking at a smaller pool of women, which is towards the slightly older end of the demographic, and that is no longer reflecting the reality of the landscape of the women who are looking for these products. So it's a case of interacting with these young women who are all fairly sophisticated users of social media and finding ways to speak with them. So one of the ways we've been doing that, for example, is by growing a sense of community and sharing stories for women in this community using our website and our social media platform. There's one other thing that's worth saying, actually, as well, is that there are niches within this group of women which historically haven't been tapped into at all. So one of them that comes to mind is that there's a growing number of women who are undergoing these surgeries, mastectomies, and are not necessarily having reconstruction surgery, either through choice, because they're electing to have what's known as aesthetic flat closure, or through necessity for medical reasons. And again, this is a niche that hasn't been served at all. So there are these pockets of women who are not served, who are just waiting for someone to speak for them, really, and to produce what they're looking for.
Great, great answer. Really, somebody who really understands their target market and understands their need, clearly identified, and knows where they are and how to speak to them. So well done. Thanks for that answer. Chris, back to you.
Perfect. Ed?
Sorry, Eleanor, I'd have thought by now I'd learned where the mute button was. Eleanor, numbers. Where are you at in terms of the business, in terms of how much have you put into it? Sales to date, potential for profit, and expectations in terms of monetary side of things, just on numbers.
We're really early on. We actually launched our first collection last night, so our numbers are very, very early on indeed. So to date, since the beginning of the year, we've been working on product development with a specialist product development house in London. So much of our year has been spent in that, and we've been pre-revenue until last night. So it's difficult to give you any precise numbers.
No, fair enough. And so, but in terms of that sort of the development of the IP, as it were, within the product, what's happened to date? Who have you used? How have you got to this level?
Yeah, sure. So I've used a specialist design company in London called London Contour Experts, who are experts in this space and do have expertise in post-surgery mastectomy products. And so to date, we have designed a range of 5 different items, which are 3 different specialist bras that serve the various needs of this group, and 2 matching briefs, because this is something that our market research suggested that women were asking. They were saying that even if on the off chance they find a bra that they like, they weren't able to find anything that was a matching set. So we've looked to address that. So we've gone through the entire product development cycle. It's taken roughly 11 months really to do that. I can talk you through the steps if you want, but it gets a little bit complex.
And then what will you do with in funds invested in the business?
In our next steps over the next year, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the things that we're particularly looking to do over the next year, there are sort of 3 areas that we want to explore. The first one is expanding the size range that we've been able to offer with this first launch. And one of the reasons that we've only been able to offer the range that we have is because you reach a certain size and the technical patterns have to change slightly for sizes above that. So we want to expand and offer a greater range so it's accessible to more people. The other thing that we would like to do is offer products for the group that I mentioned earlier, the ladies who have had aesthetic flat closure, because that is an area that is underserved. And within that, there's some wiggle room for ladies who are flat on one side. And the third area that we look to expand into over the next year is online fittings. Some, I call them mainstream lingerie companies, but you understand what I mean, have been offering online fittings over the last year for women, which have gone down particularly well, given circumstances that we all find ourselves in. And I know a lot of women in this particular community, for example, are shielding. And one of our frequently asked questions is, how do I measure myself? How do I know my size after surgery? What kind of things do I need to take into account when I'm looking for my first bras and I'm getting used to my new body? And this is something that we would really like to be able to provide a service for these women, because ultimately it can be a pretty traumatic experience, those first forays into the lingerie world after you've had your surgery.
Brilliant, Anna. Well, we said at the beginning about passion, and it's, yeah, you can feel it. Well done.
Emanating out of me.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm sorry we're not going to get to every judge every time, but we've got time for one more question. So Heather, if you want to pick that up.
Hi, Eleanor. Thank you for that pitch. That was it was lovely to hear, and I love businesses that have got that purpose behind them, and you've clearly got that in spades, and the passion for the business. And I guess just following on really from John's question about that whole market size bit, have you got a feel for how long post-surgery people are likely to need your product, and how are they likely to come back to you for more products? Or is this something that's sort of just they're likely to use just for a short period after the operation?
That's a really great question. Thank you for asking that. Yeah. So immediately post-surgery, women are often given advice by their surgical team about the type of bra to wear. And often that is a deeply unattractive compression bra. That's relatively short-lived. That will, depending on the type of surgery and the recovery and so on, it may be 6 weeks, it may be 3 months, but it's a relatively short-lived thing, thank goodness. After that, there are requirements that you then have for some time. So, for example, often women can't wear underwire bras. They need things that are super soft and don't irritate scars or irradiated skin and so on. They may need pockets for either breast forms or a little bit of padding to even them out. Things like that, and sensitive sensitive placement of seams and so on, just to make sure that they're as they don't just look good, but they're really comfortable and you can carry on wearing them. And those are the kind of needs that then persist, really. I mean, I'm 9 years post-op. 9 years ago I had my surgery and I still have those requirements. So it's what we don't offer is the immediate post-op bra. There are other excellent companies that do that. We then look after women for the rest of their lives.
But it is a nice lifetime relationship, not just a short need and you're constantly having to find new people.
Yeah, absolutely. That's our goal, keeping those relationships for life.
Fantastic. Thank you, Eleanor. Great pitch.
Perfect. Thanks, Heather. And I can see where your mind's going there in terms of customer lifetime value and the building those relationships over time. Thanks so much for taking part there, Eleanor. We've got one more pitch now before the break, and that's Mika, if we could get the video cap.
Thank you.
Imagine lying on the cold floor for hours, wondering if help will ever arrive. This was the harsh reality of our founder, Kelvin, whose grandma had a fall and no one knew about it. Kelvin made a commitment to build something so that no one else has to go through the same. So, we started out 2 years ago working closely with a group of elderly, supported by the NHS, to build an integrated solution that provides companionship, safety, and health coaching. The NHS actually calls us Alexa for the elderly, but we are much more. The way it works is we first capture data through hardware placed around the homes. We then use AI to identify abnormalities which are sent as alerts to loved ones via an app. In the homes, our solution has a voice called Monica that interacts with the elderly, provides helpful reminders and entertainment. There are a few players in this space, but we are able to stand out as we have put companionship at our core and are building IP-protected predictive AI capability that allows us to predict the likelihood of a fall. This has been validated by the traction we've achieved so far. We're starting with paid pilots worth about 500K this year alone, after which these pilots will turn into commercial agreements worth more than 2 million in revenue next year. MyCare have a strong management team of 8 senior individuals, including people who've spent many years helping companies like Microsoft and Virgin scale, and others who've had successful exits. We have a few advisors, one of which is a care sector expert, and the other a seasoned GP who advises us on the clinical aspects. We are now seeking 1 million to complete our seed round, having raised 400K already. The pandemic has been tough, with our elderly affected the most. Now is the time to be investing in a company that is bringing the future of healthcare to the people of today. Join us on our mission, and together we can impact lives at scale.
Great pitch there, and fantastic to see the quality of the sort of beta testers and traction you've got so far. If you want to introduce yourself really quickly, and then we'll start with Luke, I think.
Hi everyone, great to be here. I'm Kush, I'm the Chief Strategy Officer here at MyCare, looking at all things strategy, growth, market entry. I've had a background in management consulting and strategy consulting as well. And thought I would leave the great world of the corporates and join a company that has a mission and start something great. So that's me.
Hey Kush, it's Luke. What a brilliant product! What a brilliant solution. Needed now more than ever, I think, with so many people self-isolating around the, not just around the country, but around the world. And I talked at the beginning about, you know, wanting businesses that had a real sense of purpose, and you've got that in spades. I would love to know the backstory and why you started the business, and dig into that a little bit more.
Yeah, sure, of course. So the founder, Kelvin, is the person obviously that started the business, and Kelvin started it on the back of personal circumstance. So his father developed Alzheimer's, and he was had to become a full-time carer for his father. His father lived in Mauritius, and he lives here. He had to go back and forth, and he's an inventor. He's a technology enthusiast. He's worked in smart cities, advising governments across the UK. So he's all about tech. And he said, surely technology can solve this, that I don't have to be there all the time, but I can still have an eye, but not just have an eye on dad, but give something to dad that can interact with dad and be there for him, give those helpful reminders, companionship, and at the same time, I have peace of mind. So that's kind of the backstory to why he started the company. And everyone that's joined him, the co-founders and everyone that joined him on the mission, we all have a personal story as well within our family. An elderly relative that has fallen down and had multiple complications as a result of that fall. And this is why we've kind of left all our jobs and said to Kelvin, this is it, we're joining you and we're doing this because of that.
Brilliant, amazing. So does the product has sort of an Alexa style interaction with the elderly person, and you know, talks to them and nudges them and plays Radio 2 at 10 in the morning when they want to or whatever. But can the family member interact through the app as well? So can they talk to their father or mother or auntie or uncle?
So at the moment, we don't have the functionality of two-way communication. It's not built in, but it's very much part of the product roadmap, because we want to focus on companionship. This is what makes us stand out in the market. The traditional monitoring systems are all just about monitoring and looking at movement, and no one is focusing on that. So it's in the product roadmap. But the other interesting thing that we're doing is going to enable cube to cube. So we call it a MyCube, like how you have Echo. We're going to enable cube to cube communication. So not just the elderly cannot just connect to their family. They can say, hey, connect me to someone else in the US right now. And those two people, like-minded, been through a similar life, they'll connect to each other, have a chat. And this is really targeting that self-isolation, we believe.
Cool. Brilliant. Thank you.
Alex?
Yes, great idea. Love it. Run me through the process of somebody falling down and how that works and how help is received.
Yeah, okay. I'll talk about this in two aspects. So there's preventative and then there's detection, right? You're asking about detection, which is common. So detection can work in two or three ways. One is the person can shout help, and the system will pick that alert up and say, I've fallen. The system will call an emergency contact, but will go on and contact a second and a third if the first one doesn't go through. The second is through button. So if they're near the cube, they can reach the cube, they can press a button. And the third is actually through the sensor. So they have a smartwatch that's designed for them. The smartwatch will detect a fall. So if they're unconscious, can't do anything, that fall is detected and sent as an alert. Again, this is really important because our competitors rely on pendants and wearables and buttons. And so we're covering all aspects of the fall. If you're unconscious, if you can't reach the button and so on. That's the detection. But what's really unique and where we're doing innovation and where we've got a grant from the UK for £500,000 to develop is the predictive capability of the system. And what I mean by this is we're using all the data that we're collecting on heart rate, measures, the movement, the sound of footsteps, gait analysis to predict the likelihood of a fall. So that likelihood is predicted and is sent as an alert to the loved ones and says, we think this person, based on the way they're moving and all the IP protected stuff that we're doing, says that we think they're going to fall in 2 weeks. You get help for them and you sort that out. So these are the two angles we're looking at for falls.
And what's the cost implication with something like this?
Cost?
Yeah.
So cost to us or cost to the user?
Both.
Okay, so our margins will come in the subscription. So our business model is an upfront fee of about £200 to £300, depending on the package you get, whether you want health monitoring or just kind of basic monitoring. That cost is paid upfront by the user. It's kind of like a deposit because as a company, we want to be flexible about this and say, if, for God forbid, the person passes away, we don't want you to have that burden. You've paid £200, you're not going to use it. So we'll get that back. Now, where we make our money, we don't make money on the upfront. We just want to give that almost at cost, right? Where we make money is on a monthly subscription. We charge £30 per subscriber. The subscribers are loved ones, carers. They have access to the app and the alerts. This is where we have about an 80% margin, and we envision 2 subscribers per user.
Very interesting. Sadly, my dad's friend was found 5 days in his office on the floor.
There we go.
So it'd be interesting to see how you can scale that, because obviously you're talking about elderly people, but does it work for people who might have heart problems or heart conditions or just things that are outside of normally just the elderly age? I don't know if you're...
Yes. So on that, the product is a Trojan. Our IP and where we're going to scale is the software. So we're envisioning a point where we've built the data, the system is working, the AI is trained. We can license that software to any, like Apple Watch, for example. Maybe they don't have that capability. Any device, we can just push that into that. That's where we see the scale for this.
Sounds cool. Really good. Thank you, Chris.
Great. That's unfortunately all the time we have questions for there, but I thought really strong answers. I can see the future potential. There's so many companies offering the sort of monitoring systems and they have serious failings at the moment. So fantastic idea. We've got a 5-minute break now. So if you could rejoin us at 2:53. If you've got time just to grab a cup of tea or take a toilet break. So we'll see you all in 5 minutes. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Pitch 2020 final. Starting a couple of minutes late from break because we didn't realise Jeanette, who's sharing her screen, couldn't see the chat window. So welcome back everyone. I hope you've had time to grab a cup of tea and chat about the pitches we've seen so far. Just as a quick reminder, we had Wish You first, then we had Pump Money, Terrible Merch, Valiant Vindre and MeCare. The next business we've got is Tract. We've got a very different approach to their pitch video, and I'm really interested to hear what everyone has to say about it. So, Kat, do you want to cue the video for us?
Hello, I'm Russell, founder of Tract. Tract is an 8-track social recording studio on your phone, enabling artists to record, collaborate, and share ideas around the world. We're giving artists the revenue they deserve and fans the music they need to hear. With our freemium model, Tract will always be free to record and discover, and subscription creates revenues and opportunities for us and our artists. The market is worth $60 billion. We are raising $3 million to grow our user base and incorporate new technologies. We have a fantastic team, including ambassadors like Dave Stewart from the Eurythmics. And as a way of demonstrating our growing impact, I'm privileged to introduce you to a few of our artists and partners.
Hello, I'm Otto. I'm a UK singer-songwriter based in South Wales. Through Tract, I signed a record deal with Dave Stewart, and now my latest single's getting played on BBC Radio.
Hello, I'm Rachel, music tinkerer. I put my life on hold for so long, and now this Tract has enabled me to come back and collaborate with other artists and connect with my listeners.
Hi, this is Davide De Gregorio. I'm Italian. I write songs in English. I live in Moscow. I've signed a record deal with Tract. I'm collaborating with musicians all around the world. What can I say? Thank you, Tract.
Hi there, I'm Nathan Timothy. I'm the founder of the songwriting charity based in Kent, and we are proud partners with Tract. We do songwriting workshops all around the country, and the Tract app is having a real impact on those workshops with the children. In fact, I'd say it's the missing piece. It's the thing we've been looking for all these years. So thank you, Tract.
Hi, I'm Grant Tilbury and I'm Artist Relations at Tract Music. I get to work with all of these amazing artists, musicians and songwriters, wherever they are in the world, and help them on their musical journey. And long may it continue. Thank you very much.
Great pitch there. We did that. The pitchers couldn't do any cuts in their videos, but Russell has assured me that was all done live and would have been done in person had it not been for lockdown. So thanks, Russell, Grant. If you want to introduce yourselves really quickly, and then we'll go to John for the first question.
I'll introduce myself first. I'm Grant Tilbury at Tract Music. I think Russell, you're there, I believe. I think you're on mute, just to let you know.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Hello everybody, hi. Thank you very much for inviting us along to today. Really pleased to be here. Some fabulous pitches so far, and definitely the merch company, we want to have a word with you without any shadow of a doubt. That'd be fantastic to partner with you. But thank you very much. It was done in one pitch, but in the light of the current times, we thought we'd record the whole pitch using Zoom, hence why the individual people around the world could partake. So thank you very much.
Good stuff, guys. Really enjoyed that pitch. Fresh approach, innovative, different, kind of like your business proposition. If I can summarize it, because I'm not from the industry at all, if I can summarize it into two areas, I think it's like all about collaboration and accessibility. Yeah, at least that's what I took away from it. And I got, if we have time, I got two wings to the question. But the first bit is, so what's different about what you do that nobody else does? It's kind of a competition-related question. Why can't somebody else do this? Or if they can, how easy is it to actually do it? What's the barrier to entry like?
We think it's quite substantial actually, because you've had platforms like SoundCloud that have been doing nothing really for artists for many years. You post your music up on SoundCloud and it gets played, but you don't really get any benefit. There's no tools in SoundCloud to be able to work together or collaborate around the world. And there's no revenue streams for the artists. So, we're fundamentally changing the way that artists get played and get paid.
Okay, and the second piece of the question was going to be about kind of like you're raising money. I think was it $1 million you said? Maybe that was
3 million.
Thank you, pardon. It was 3 million. That's what you said. How are you planning to spend 3 million? It's a question I asked somebody else. It's a lot of money, but
absolutely.
what's your understanding as to how you're going to make this money work for you? In other words, convert it into return.
Yeah, I said we're heading towards 500,000 artists around the world already working on our platform. So for us, it's about the scale. And so it's really about market scale, which is product market fit, increasing our options in our existing app. We need to build an Android version of the app, which is obviously to roll out to territories like South America and India, places that are more Android prevalent, and the ability to grow our team. You know, whereas at the moment there's a magnificent 7 in my team, and you know, we have reaching already 161 countries around the world, and we need to scale our team accordingly.
Okay, understand it. Good. That's all we got time for right now. Chris.
Thank you.
Heather.
Thanks, guys, for that presentation. That was really interesting just to listen to, and a nice, unique way to pitch. And my question really is, can you just break down what your revenue model? So where do you get your money from, and what's the traction been to date on that?
Absolutely. So we're turning the thinking on its head. I mean, we have our platform is very engaging. It's very viral amongst artists. For example, bands, there's 3 or 4 members in the band. So one member might sign up for Tract. He gets all the benefits of what we're doing within Tract. He obviously encourages the rest of his artists and the rest of the people he knows to join our platform. We make money from the artist, and we do it in a very simple way. We've priced the product to be no less than a pint of beer. And literally it's okay to come in on a monthly basis, you pay a subscription, and you are opened up with all the opportunities that our technology gives you. The real game changer that we're just launching is a thing called Chip-In, and this is fundamentally going to change the industry. This is the ability for an artist to receive direct funds from fans around the world, and they will take home north of 95% of that money. So in this current climate where they can't gig, they can't get out there and earn money, this is a game changer for their business.
Great. So that the money that comes in, is that set by the artist? So for downloads, or how does that work?
Absolutely. It's set up that they are in total charge of what they want to charge for their donations from fans and artists. And that money goes directly from the artist from the fan to the artist. We don't take a penny of that money. We charge a subscription to manage the platform and provide that service for our artists. But every revenue they make is in their pocket, minus the bank charges, unfortunately, which we can't do anything about.
And your traction to date, how has the revenue grown since you started?
Fantastic. We're 120,000 active users, on monthly active users on average over the last few months. Obviously, sadly, this pandemic has played to our strengths. And we're making money. You know, we are making money, not enough. That's the purpose, obviously, expanding the reach and doing what we do.
Fantastic. Can you just size that for us in terms of your monthly revenue?
Yeah, I mean, it's small. We're less than 10,000 a month, but you know, there is huge growth in our take up. We're getting conversion around about 10% on every artist that signs up to paying revenues.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ed, I can see you mulling this over. Do you want to go now?
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to understand where it sits, because obviously there's that sort of world of YouTube, sort of free access things, and as I understand it, a sort of a breaking artist wants to chuck their music out there and make it as accessible as possible. And then, so is it okay if I refer to them as listeners?
Yes.
Listeners are paying to download a track and listen to it, or they're making a donation. How does that work? I'm a bit confused.
That's the beauty of it. It's completely free for them. So they're not interrupted by adverts, or their whole listening experience is not spoiled. We are making our money and funded from the artist's perspective, which they're happy to support because we're giving them amazing opportunities.
But
so the listeners,
the artist has to receive money from the listener. So the listener,
absolutely. So they get direct payments from the listener. So for example, think of it like this hat, right? You're chucking a tenner in the hat. So you're paying and say, I really like that piece of music. I'm going to give him £10 for that. That £10 goes straight to the artist. We don't take a cut of that.
So it's a donation.
Absolutely.
So there's from the listener side of things, they can access it free, sort of use the YouTube model, and they can support the artist.
There's a fantastic model that's out there called OnlyFans. Obviously, it's huge and has got this nailed for certain sectors of business. We're sort of, to some extent, replicating that, except the difference is because we've set this up as a not-for-profit side of things, the artists themselves will take, north of 95% of the actual money that's donated.
Sorry, you just said something then, which I wasn't sure about. It's set up as not for profit.
The side that handles the transactions from the fan to the artist, we don't touch that. We are not. We're a profit business, obviously. So we provide all the infrastructure, all the great tools around it, but the transaction itself, we deliberately don't take a piece of that.
Okay, so at the moment you've got 120,000 active users. So those are artists placing tracks on the platform.
Absolutely.
And then it's generated £10,000 a month from the artists, not from the visitors. So you're not counting the donations.
Indeed. So the whole piece of chip in, which is this new piece of technology was described for you, which we've built and it's just been launched with version 3. This is brand new. So it's completely revolutionary out of the door right now. So we're forecasting some substantial change in the way that will actually contribute to our artist revenues.
So out of 120,000 active users, how much revenue have the artists generated, which is obviously determines the scalability of the attractiveness of the product?
Yeah, we're talking about a $60 billion market here. It's phenomenal. At this point in time, we are so nascent that the chip-in product that we've just launched is so nascent, we haven't really got the actual stats that we can give you here saying, listen, we've made this much money from our artists via their fans. But obviously, I'd be happy to share with you some numbers privately about the forecasting and how this
works. Fantastic business, fantastic concept, and it's a really nice slant on something. Really, it's stunning. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks. It sounds like the judges do have a bit more to unpack from this one, but unfortunately we are out of time. So Russell, if you do want to post, I can answer any questions in the chat window. That would be fantastic.
Be delighted to.
The next business we have is Debbie, if we can get their pitch video.
I'm Pooja, and I spent the last 5 years building products and services used by thousands of young families and advising on national child and family policy in the Obama White House and the World Bank. My teammate Faraz is a second-time technical co-founder and machine learning expert with a passion for education and psychology. Together, we are the team behind Devi. Devi is an app that supports parents to build their children's social and emotional skills. Parents have the opportunity to support their child's social and emotional development every time they respond to a tantrum. Picture this. Instead of saying, "Stop crying," what if a parent said, "It's okay to be upset. Let's think about how you can help you feel better." Most parents want to respond this way, but when emotions are high in the moment, it's incredibly hard. And that's where Devi comes in. Using Devi, parents can practice responding positively the way they've always wanted to, and they can move on to the big stuff. Things like helping their child be more creative, more independent, and more gritty. And this is a huge opportunity. Parents spend $20 billion a year on educational activities and other resources for their children. And we can deliver the trusted expert support that parents spend $75 an hour for a £5 to £10 a month subscription fee. And we've heard from the parents in our beta that they've been waiting for a solution like this. We're raising a £550,000 pre-seed round to launch the product, expand our team, and meet our milestones around user acquisition and revenue in the next 12 months. And we need your help. I hope you'll join us on our journey to support every parent to build their child's social and emotional skills, so every child has the foundation from which to thrive.
Thanks for the pitch there. You've obviously got a huge amount of experience in this area, and as a parent, I can straight away see what you're trying to do, and I've had that sort of feeling of helplessness to try and understand how to get through those situations. So if you want to introduce yourself briefly, and then we'll go to Luke for the first question.
Of course. Hi, everyone. I'm Pooja. I'm the founder CEO of Devi. You just heard my bio, but I'm really excited to be here and answer your questions.
Hello. Yeah, my name's Luke. I'm in Chris's boat. At one point during lockdown, I had 3 under 3 with a newborn born right at the start of lockdown. So I know very well how your customers feel. My question is, where do I sign up and how much does it cost?
Well, it's free right now, so lucky for you, sign up right away. But basically, we have our beta. It's on our website. It's on iOS and Android right now. We just basically, when we first started, we had 750 signups in the first week and a half that we were out there, and we were intending to get like 30 to 50. We had put out like basically 2 Facebook posts, and a lot of parents ended up downloading it. We decided to kind of build in the open and ended up getting quite a few of those parents in. And we sort of stopped marketing after that point because we realized we were kind of at this nascent stage, and we found our core group of, now it's around 367 parents that are using it relatively regularly. So about 50% of that larger group. And then there's 100 of those parents that are using it like almost daily. And those are the parents that we've been working with over the last 5 months or so to really feed into that product development.
And how does it work then? Does it sort of coach me offline when I'm not interacting?
Yeah, so actually,
or is it actually kind of when I'm having a awkward conversation, do I, turn to you for advice?
Yeah, so we'd never recommend that you take out your phone in the middle of a tantrum, for sure. This is really, yeah, so the way we think about this is Devi helps you kind of move from system 1 to system 2 thinking. So the idea is that in that moment when you're emotionally activated, it's really difficult to use that kind of rational side of your brain that knows how you want to act in that situation. And so we help you plan how you want to do it, and do that in a lot of detail. So just for example, if you're dealing with tantrums, and we've kind of identified that that often happens when you say no to your child, we first do like a little bit of education to say, your child is probably feeling powerless in that moment. Here's why, they're developing their independence at this time. And here's 3 tips that you can use. For example, saying yes instead of no, giving choices, and involving your child in creating routines that you can use. And then we guide you through a reflection on really adapting that advice to your situation. So we'll say, okay, tell me about a difficult routine for you. Okay, what is a choice that you can give them at that time? Now that you know what that choice is, write out a script for how you're going to talk about it with your child. So we try to really help the parent think through and plan that in detail. Then we help them as of now, one of the things on our roadmap is doing this via voice, but as of now, we have like kind of a hack where we just have them write that down on a Post-it note and stick it in someplace memorable as a nudge for themselves. And then we help parents actually reflect on how that's going over time. So if a particular technique isn't really working for them, we give them something different or prompt them to think of something new that might work instead, and help them really kind of stay the course. So the core challenge we found is that parents often have success with this once or twice, but doing that regularly is really the trick. And so we help parents kind of keep that front of mind and make a habit of doing those things.
Thank you. I'm all in.
Excited for your feedback.
Alex?
Yeah, very, very interesting. It reminds me of the program that we watch as a family, Super Nanny.
Oh, yes.
And understanding the naughty steps, techniques and whatnot. I'm actually quite interested in understanding where do you get all this factual information that you're providing all these parents, and how is that certified sort of correct, if that makes sense?
Mm-hmm. So one is we do have kind of a point of view. So we do use positive parenting as our like core philosophy, and that's because there's quite a bit of evidence behind it being effective in both improving child and parent outcomes. So that's to start. The other is we do have a content review team, and that's made up of an NHS clinical psychologist. One of our board members is the former head of Ofsted and spent 30 years running nurseries. The other is a behavioral scientist who's on the behavioral insights team, but is also doing her PhD at Oxford in early childhood development. And we have a whole range of postdocs in early childhood development that specialize in various kind of social emotional learning related fields that basically input into our development process for the content and actually review every single chat transcript before it goes into Devi. So we have a pretty strict kind of quality control process around that side. But one of our things that we want to do is actually get that certified in some way. So in our next year, like one of the things in our roadmap is to actually have an impact evaluation to prove that this does, or not prove, test whether it does improve significantly children's and parents' outcomes.
Okay. And how much money were you looking to raise?
So we're raising a $550K pre-seed round.
What would that be used for?
So it would be used to expand our team. Right now, it's just myself and my CTO, and our CTO is pro bono at the moment. And so it would bring him in full time. It would also add our first technical team member, our first full stack developer. It would bring in a head of content and a head of marketing, because I spend the vast majority of my time writing chats right now. And hopefully we can move away from that. And then also having a head of marketing, because we're planning on launching the product and need to put more into that side of things. The other part is actually investing in some paid marketing. So right now we're starting to figure out the sort of marketing mix that works for us. But to scale that up, we'll need budget to do that. And then that last, I think it's about 25% that we have in there as buffer that could last us up to 18 months if necessary, or if ideally actually, but also is there in case we have unforeseen costs and that sort of thing.
Yeah, very interesting business concept. I mean, I've got 2 kids and we kind of learned as we went along. So if there's a company out there that can sort of give you step-by-step guides, so I'm sure. How much did you say per month would you charge?
Yeah, so right now we're doing $4.99. That's what we're experimenting with. And so there's 2 kind of models we're exploring. One is making it like time limited. So for example, the first week of your plan is free. You've seen a little bit of progress, and now to complete it, you pay a subscription model from then on. But the other thing that we're thinking is we've seen Noom and other behavior change companies do this really well, where they have all the automated stuff free, and then you layer on like a social support network, and that's something that you pay for. And the kind of like premium tier is having a human coach in the loop. And that is something that you pay quite a lot more for, but hopefully still less than the norm, which is $75 an hour for a single session with a parenting coach. So yeah, we're experimenting with those 2, but haven't sort of committed to either one yet.
So I would say check out Calm. Which a friend of mine launched that business, and I think it's kind of a similar in terms of mental state. Parental might get some good tips on how to do that, but great concept. So I wish you all the best with that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant idea there, and I can really see how you're sort of testing it and learning with that beta group. So that's fantastic. So thanks so much for taking part today.
Of course, thanks.
The next pitch we have is from Plant Pops.
The average Brit snacks 7 times a week, but there are snacks out there eaten by 1 billion people that most Brits have never heard of. We were seeing the same ingredients used again and again in snacks: potatoes, corn, soy, lentils, and there was a real lack of exciting and adventurous snacks out there. There was nothing that made an everyday experience feel special, more important now than ever before. That's where we come in. At Plant Pops, we make delicious, award-winning plant-based snacks that contain nothing artificial. We take innovative ingredients from around the world and pair them with everyone's favourite flavours. Our initial range of pop lotus seeds, think popcorn, but better and without any of those annoying bits that get stuck in your teeth, were crowned the best snacking innovation at this last year's World Food Innovation Awards, and this year they've been shortlisted for a Great British Food Award too. Consumers are moving further away from traditional snacks such as crisps and popcorn, whilst healthier snacking options are currently the fastest growing sector within the snacking category. Sales are up 15% in the last year. We launched at the end of last year, and you can find us in premium stores such as Harvey Nichols, chains such as Simply Fresh, and through a range of wholesalers. We also export to Europe and further afield. We've always had a D2C arm, but during COVID, we really refocused on this arm through both our online store and through Amazon. And we've seen our D2C sales grow to over 20 times last year's figures. And this has continued even after the initial flurry of orders at the beginning of lockdown. I'm Anushi, and I'm the co-founder, along with my friend Ash. We're ex-management consultants with experiences across a range of sectors, including private equity and consumer goods. People are looking for food that is more than just food. They want food that tastes great, has great provenance, and also ticks all those healthy boxes. People are looking for snacks that are good for them, the environment, and the communities that create them. We cannot wait to bring more snacks to market that tick all of these boxes and taste fantastic too.
Thanks for the pitch there, Anushi. If you want to introduce yourself quickly, and then I think we'll go to John first. This is his specialist area.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Pretty humbled to be here with my snacks alongside so many of these incredible businesses. Yeah, really happy to answer any questions you have.
Anushi, hi, we get to meet again.
Yeah.
A really interesting concept. Lots going for you. Ticks a lot of boxes in terms of what the consumer is looking for these days. The flip side of it, not insurmountable, of course, but the flip side of it is it's an extremely competitive category. There's a lot of, I mean, bag snacks has exploded in the last 2 or 3 years. Take-home bag snacks because of lockdown. You know, so people are consuming snacks in different ways, but everybody's doing it. Like, everybody is doing it, and everybody says they're healthy, and everybody says they're convenient. Snacks usually are, and everybody says they taste great. So what really is different about you, and how do you cut through all that clutter and noise that everybody else is making? How do you get noticed by the consumer? How do you notice, you know, from a consumer point of view, how can you find this product on shelf? How do you stand out among all that noise?
Yeah, definitely. So it is an incredibly competitive marketplace for sure. At the end of the day, I think one of the most important factors is taste. So we do try and compete on taste. Our product is something we actually make in-house. We work with production partners that produce it themselves. So that kind of allows us to control manufacturing in a way that kind of other brands might not be able to. It allows us to also bring flavors to market pretty quickly. And what we really like to do is take super unusual ingredients, such as pop lotus seeds, which most people haven't heard of, but 1 billion people enjoy in India. It's super, super popular there. But pair them with people's favorite flavors. They're not too unusual for customers. Where we really want to stand out is to continue bringing innovation to market. So we have a huge pipeline of products that we will test out. And what is really useful now is having this D2C arm set up. We can get feedback direct from customers, which we couldn't really do before. We did struggle with that before. But now when we have new flavors, new products, we can just test it there, get real customer feedback, and then use that to work with bigger retailers on like the specific ways we can cut through marketing and reach more customers in store.
Okay, and a final top-up question in terms of price, because it's a very price-sensitive category. Not that, you know, you've got a premium brand, you can support a higher price, but remind me, you're importing a load of seeds from India, is that right? And are you popping them in the UK and packing them here, or just remind me about that? Because, and really the question is in relation to cost control, and can you hit that price point in the store that you need to?
Yeah, so we source our lotus seeds from northern India, direct from farmers. We pop and produce in India. That was quite important. That's why we set up a manufacturing facility there. It also allows us to do export quite effectively to the Far East, to the Middle East. We then import them. The price point currently is $120. We are working on bringing that down. The product doesn't carry any VAT, so that is super handy in itself. We are making a lot of cost cuttings within our packaging, etc. Just because I think scale now affords us to do that. At the beginning, we were buying everything at minimum order quantities, which was incredibly expensive. So it is $120 at the moment. We want to bring it down, and it does seem feasible that we will be able to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Heather, sorry, do you want to pick that there?
Anushi, thank you for that. And again, seeing that passion for what you're delivering and the flavors and the whole origin of the product. And that comes across brilliantly. Can you just talk us through what you've got in terms of your team that work on the commercial side, and I guess their experience and the distribution and getting this to the sort of mass market?
Yeah, so predominantly it's just been myself thus far. I do have a co-founder, Ash, he's part-time. We have just completed an initial raise, and that's allowed us to hire a really experienced sales manager. They're part-time because they're super experienced. They've worked with some of the biggest kind of challenger brands in food and drink. That started about a month ago. So we are now looking to scale up into the new year. So that's what we have on the commercial side. On the production side, we have production partners that have been doing this for absolutely decades.
What success have you had so far with different distribution channels? What's worked well for you?
Yeah, so what worked really well before COVID was offices. So we worked with the Compass Group on that. We have had to slightly rethink our model. So D2C now actually works incredibly well for us. Amazon is a huge channel for us. It allows us to export to the EU as well. It is something we'll continue doing after Brexit. So we have got that plan in place. We're in over 100 different independent stores. At the beginning, it was very much about us just trying to find our feet, work out what people liked about the product, how to get through to people. We have made tweaks to the flavor and how we reach out to people as well. So that's where we are so far. It is predominantly in COVID D2C and mainly through independent stores through our wholesalers as well. Oh, I should also say we do export quite a lot. So we export to the Far East, to Hong Kong, and to some different countries in the EU as well.
Fantastic. Can we get them in our offices?
Yes,
get your details.
Email. Yeah.
Thank you.
Lovely, Ed.
Anisha, I'll tell you what, they look appetizing, which is amazing. Which is, the big win if we start. But just a quick question, just when you were talking to John, you mentioned £1.20. Is that per bag?
It's per bag. It's 20 grams. So it is in the premium end of the market. It's not the most premium snack you'll find. I just want to emphasize that. It's kind of in the middle. We do want to bring it down though.
Okay, and what is the? I imagine it's pure volume, is it? Which is your but that £1.20, is that the shipping costs? The actual, if you were to pick the bag up in India or wherever, it would be what's your cost out there?
So it is obviously a lot lower. So the in terms of what we pay, it's about 20% goes in tariffs and imports. So the rest actually goes in the actual seed itself. It's not a cheap product. The actual lotus seeds, they are hand-picked, then they're hand-popped. So the actual product ingredients itself is very expensive. So where we try to reduce the cost is not to use a lower grade of seed. That's just not what we're about. We want to use the right grade that's used in India for the domestic market. We managed to cut our costs based on packaging and actually shipping. So currently we ship in containers, and the scale you'll get just from shipping a 20-foot to 40-foot is just absolutely enormous.
Yeah, just game changer. And then very quickly, just you touched on your international side of it. So how are you selling to China from here?
Yeah, so we actually, this is part of the magic of being able to offer an ex-works price from India. We can price that really competitively, and then they pick it up from there. It's lower shipping times, they get a longer shelf life. So that allows us to do that by having our production out there.
And what's your goal to sort of expand that? Have you got any mission there? Are you going to keep handling it on a sort of per sale basis?
No, so we would really love to bring someone in to focus on exports, particularly with Brexit coming in. It is very expensive to serve the EU now. That is just a fact, unfortunately. So we will look at EU, but really we see the Far East and the Middle East being really attractive for people just because we can offer such a competitive ex-works price.
Okay, brilliant. Well done.
Lovely, thanks, Ed. That's all the time we've got. So cheers for the pitch there. I thought it was some great answers and obviously a lot of potential for the product too. And I look forward to seeing it stocked in Origin and having a taste. So when Heather sorts that out. So we've got 2 pitches left, and then there will be the People's Choice voting poll. I know a couple of people have asked about that. So next up is Solaris Kit.
Hi, I'm Dr. Faisal Ghani, founding director of Solaris Kit. Last year, I experienced a turning point in my life while reading a paper. This paper stated that many households in Kigali, Rwanda were forced to spend 40% of their income paying their energy bill, 70% of which was just going to heating water. As a mechanical engineer with over 15 years of experience developing solar heating solutions, I found this incredibly frustrating. Rwanda, like so many other countries, have access to tremendous amounts of solar energy. This energy could be harnessed to relieve this financial burden while lowering carbon emissions. Despite these benefits, the penetration of this technology remains incredibly low across the African continent. The problem is that current solar thermal products, while high-performing, are expensive, difficult to transport, and complicated to install. In response, I founded Solaris Kit after developing the world's first flat-packable solar thermal collector. Like an IKEA product, our solar collector is cheaper to buy, it's easy to transport, and it's simpler to install. Once it's assembled, our solar collector can be used to convert sunlight directly into hot water. We have received £250,000 of funding from Innovate UK to carry out field trials in Rwanda, and were labelled one of the 1,000 solutions to change the world by the Solar Impulse Foundation. We have gained interest from solar hot water installers across the African continent and also social housing developers seeking low carbon energy solutions. With carbon emissions from the developing economies exceeding those produced from the industrialized nations, our solution provides an affordable, practical way to tackle the climate emergency while improving the lives of potentially millions of people. Our team of 5, who have over 60 years of combined experience, are driven to make this happen. Thank you.
Great pitch there. Thank you, Phil. And I find your voice very calming as well. So I think it's a very good way to explain through a startup idea. So if you just quickly say who you are, and then if we go to Alex first for questions.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Faisal Ghani. I'm the CEO and founder of Solaris Kit.
Hey, how you doing? Well, very interesting. Explain to me how solar panel works across Africa in general. I mean, I understand what you're trying to do, but explain to me the business model itself.
So the business model. So we're looking at a B2B business model. So we're going to be manufacturing our collectors in the United Kingdom. So we've actually just signed heads of terms for a manufacturing site in Dundee. And at the moment, we'll be shipping the collectors directly to SMEs who will essentially act as our distribution and our installation partners. So we needed that partnership model because there is some level of expertise required to install a solar hot water system.
Right.
So we need people who have technicians and also the necessary infrastructure to move product and to actually install the technology onto the premise of our end user.
So am I right in saying the products for the African market, or is it generally for any population?
Sorry, yes, it's for any population. I definitely had Africa in mind with the technology, just because, like I said in the pitch, I was just blown away by the fact that solar thermal had such minimal penetration in the African continent, despite the fact that there's so much sunlight, there's rapid urbanization, growing economies. It's quite common to come across papers where governments are worried about people using immersion heaters because it'll basically flatten the grid because it just cannot cope, while at the same time there's all this solar energy that could be harnessed. And that's chiefly because current products are primarily developed for regions like Europe or other industrialized regions. It's just not a good fit.
And what's your cost model? How much would it sort of the end retailer would sort of pay for something like this?
So we manufacture the collector for around £49, and that's based on manufacture in the UK. For the global South market, we're looking at selling the collectors directly to our partners for around £100. We're still finalizing that. And they'll be then charging the end user £129. That's our recommended retail price for the end user. But what's quite important is the fact that our solar collector isn't just cheap in terms of buying the collector. It's significantly cheaper to install the entire system. And that's because our collector is completely compatible with much lower cost plastic piping and push fit connections, which means a single technician can go to the premise and install the collector, whereas our current competitors, they typically require 2 technicians to go on site and use either copper or steel piping to install. So it's significantly more expensive to install.
Mm. How much are you looking to raise?
So we're looking to raise $500,000 in our first round.
Okay. Over to you,
Excellent,
Chris.
Luke. Oh, yeah, as I say to Luke.
Yeah, my question was going to be around traction, but you're really at the early stages, aren't you, at the moment? So I guess traction is sort of around beta products and stuff. So I guess I was curious, like it's flat packed, easy to ship, easy to assemble, but does the product not need some sort of storage battery so that you can harness the energy from the sun during the day when it's hot, and then you can have hot water in the evening? Or is it sort of real time? You're going to have a shower when the sun's out?
No, so just like any standard solar thermal system, our collector would be coupled to a water tank, and the water tank would be the storage battery that you're referring to. So over the course of the day, that tank would just get hotter and hotter, and then that tank would be insulated to some level. So you would have that hot water remaining there for the next day. For example, if you're coming home at night to have a shower. So there's no difference there with the current solar thermal products. But because of the design of our collector, it is completely compatible with heating water directly. There's no requirement for any kind of antifreeze agents or anything like that, because we use a polymer absorber. So if there was a freeze or frost condition, for example, there's no risk of our pipe bursting from the expansion of the fluid. So we can just heat water, which means our collector can just be coupled directly with a water tank, which is much more readily available in our target markets.
And I guess secondly to that, do you plan to use it to power other devices, sort of electrical devices, for instance, or is that not?
So what I should point out is that we are purely heat. We do not convert sunlight into electricity. So we are converting sunlight directly into thermal energy. So we are only meeting the hot water needs of the household. So this is meeting the requirements of showering, laundry, cleaning applications. So we don't produce electricity.
Cool.
Yeah.
John, if you want to pick up from there.
Sure will. Yeah, a number of questions covered by Luke just there, and that last bit was really interesting. I was going to ask about that. You touched earlier in a question to Alex about really kind of a B2B, and the way I see it, it's more of a B2C opportunity, really. And you sell it to individual households who can install it or have it installed quite easily. So what is, from an African point of view and other continental opportunities, what is your route to market? How do you get your brand and concept through to the end user who is like a household who is building a new house or an extension or has a problem to solve? It's really kind of consumer based product after all, isn't it? Or tell me if I'm wrong, but if it is, how do you target them? What is your route to market for those guys?
Yeah, so it's a really good question. So I've worked for solar thermal companies for a number of years, and from that experience, what I found is that it's typically the installers of the systems that typically act as the ambassadors for this type of technology. And I've actually spent days in the field with installers, going around installing the collectors, and they're just like us. They want jobs to be as simple as possible. And so typically what we find is that, some products are much more complicated to install. They're heavier to get onto the roof. They have a tendency to recommend much easier to install products to the end user. So we're looking at partnering with SMEs. So for example, our beachhead market is Rwanda. So we've identified one key partner there who typically use female technicians. And they obviously had a very strong affinity to what we're doing because our technology is so much easier to install because of the physical nature of our product. And because of these requirements, their technicians are much more likely to go to end users because at the end of the day, they're trying to push their products out into the field, and they're much more likely to recommend our products. But we are trying to market ourselves through a number of traction channels. So we're focusing quite a lot on content marketing. So we're writing a number of white papers, a lot of blogs, trying to answer a lot of the technical questions. A big focus for me as the chief exec is business development. So just talking to other CEOs of these SMEs, and then also attending trade shows as well, and actually exhibiting the collectors and raising awareness to our solution.
Okay, so your business partners are...
Sorry, John, we're out of time for that one. We're already a little over, so I will have to draw a line under it there. I know that there's so much to unpack, but we unfortunately are limited on time. Fazil, thanks so much for taking...
Great, thank you.
Perfect. So we just got the one more pitch today, and then we'll open the polls and find out who won the pitch 2020. And that pitch is from the Great British Biscotti Company.
Hi, my name is Paul from the Great British Biscotti Company. As you may know, biscotti is a twice-baked biscuit invented by the Italians over 2,000 years ago when they created the almond biscotti. Unfortunately, it's too hard to eat, you've got to dunk it. So in March 2016, we fired up our ovens and we launched the Great British Biscotti Company. We produce a range of flavours that have the perfect texture and are absolutely delicious. We also introduced the first ever range of savoury biscotti. Savoury biscotti is fantastic as a savoury snack, canapé base, accompaniment to cheese or charcuterie, crouton for soups and salads. Absolutely delicious. And we now sell Great British Biscotti into over 400 farm shops and delicatessens across the country. We also sell to the likes of Ocado, Amazon, hamper companies, and also we export North America, Middle East, Far East, and Europe. We just had our first order for Norway, and we also export to Germany. In the autumn of last year, we decided to launch the Artful Baker brand for major retailers. We launched this in over 320 Asda stores nationally, but unfortunately due to COVID we couldn't expand it to the other retailers, but we aim to do that in the early part of 2021. We also offer manufacturing solutions for other companies like Hotel Chocolat, who wanted us to produce 2 biscottis to go into their cafes around the country. So successful, we're about to launch 5 new flavours. We work with fantastic startups like Pep & Lecker. We produce their savoury crackers for them. Absolutely delicious product. In terms of turnover, 2018, we hit turnover of £181,000. We nearly doubled that in 2019 to over £326,000. This year, 2020, despite COVID, we should still be around 30% up on last year with sales close to £400,000. Next year, we'll hit the £1 million mark. My background, I've been in the food industry all my life for over 25 years, manufacturing, sales and marketing. Great British Biscotti has got a fantastic future. It's growing fast and it's going to be brilliant. Thanks.
Thanks for the pitch there, Paul. Heather, if you'd like to kick us off for this one.
Sounds like we've got something else to try in the office, Chris. Thank you very much, Paul. Great to hear all about that. And yeah, it sounds really interesting. You also sound as though you've got lots of traction in lots of different places in terms of overseas and also in the UK and with some big brand names. Can you just talk us through the team that you've got and how you've got into some of those big brand names?
Yeah, I think most of it has been sort of through reputation, that sort of the quality of the product we produce. In terms of team, we've got 12 people in the bakery baking, and then in terms of sort of sales and marketing, running the business, it generally sort of falls on my shoulders. So we did a lot of trade shows at the start of the business where we met quite a few people. It's where we met, say, Hotel Chocolat. We worked with some great organisations like Mission Ventures, John, as well. And basically, it's just sort of through networking that people wanting either a product produced either under their own brand, or what we do is so unique that, particularly with savoury biscotti, it's really gaining some traction.
Fantastic, and great to see that traction with some really good brands. You've got quite a big jump next year in terms of revenue. What's driving that? Is that growth of existing clients, or is that going into new markets?
Growth of existing clients, and also growth within our export market as well, because we've had some really fantastic support from DIT, who are basically opening up some markets for us in the Middle East and also in the Far East. For example, we're going, DIT are trialing basically a B2C web platform in China, and we've been one of the brands selected to actually trial on that web portal. So, and then also growth with existing products. Like I said, with Hotel Chocolat, we're launching 5 new products, and we sort of obviously want to sort of grow our Artful Baker brand into other major retailers as well as just Asda.
Fantastic. Thank you, Paul. Sounds a really clear proposition, and you know where you're going, which is fantastic.
Thanks.
Ed?
Paul, it's really interesting. Yourself, what's your background? You said that you are from food, but why did you go off on your own?
Basically, I've always been on my own. I sort of left school at 16 and went to work in France for a couple of years, came back to the UK, joined sort of family business. My father was sort of an entrepreneur as well in the food business, so I took over that business in the late 1990s. I grew that to over £12 million turnover, and then really sort of what we were doing was sort of sales and marketing. So I was coming up with ideas for food products, going off around the world to find a manufacturer for us, and we'd import it and sell it to the usual supermarkets, Tesco, Sainsbury's and everything. And really I got sort of, a lot of that was private label under their brand, and I sort of got fed up of producing product for other people, other people's brands, using other people's factories, and the sort of biscotti idea came along, which gave me the chance to set up my own bakery and my own brand and develop that.
Sorry, just to go back over that. In the 90s, you ran a business which you created and sold it, and that was doing £12 million, was it? On the
That's right. I didn't sell it. We basically, the nature of the business, doing private label for supermarkets, you tend to end up with sort of 80% of your turnover within one or two customers and basically one supplier abroad. And unfortunately, that supplier got taken over by one of our sort of competitors, and we lost that business sort of virtually overnight. So I had to start again. With
and in terms of this product, so biscotti, we all love it, alongside a coffee or whatever. And but what's the size of the opportunity there? Because I mean, you're not going to steal it all off the Italians or whatever. But how far can you take this?
I think we can take it an awful long way. The Italians have, as I sort of said in the video, produced biscotti for sort of over 2,000 years, and their product is extremely hard. They've only done one flavour based generally, which is almond, and you've got to dunk the product. So our texture we've adapted so it's sort of a lot easier to eat. It's a bit more like a biscuit. It's still twice baked, and it's a lot more suited for the market where the Italians have not really progressed their product. They've stayed with the same product for so long. And we've also introduced the savoury biscotti. So if you look at the savoury, it could be used as a snack, it could be used as canapé bases in food service or as cheese biscuits. And within the business, our sort of stage 2 development, we are going to start creating other products as well as biscotti to add to the portfolio.
But in terms of biscotti sales in the UK, do you know what level they are?
We don't know, because the market is relatively small. If you go into supermarkets, they're basically merchandise on the bottom shelf. We've proved that with our product that we can actually grow this market, and actually with the innovation we're doing, we can grow a substantial market. If you think the UK, there's so if you relate it to cups of coffee, so if we go back to the food service side, there's over 70 million cups of coffee drank a day in the UK. There's 150 million cups of tea drank every day in the UK. So we've got sort of cafes who are selling an enormous amount of product by giving away free on cups of sauces and everything. So you can sort of try and gauge the pro rata to the number of cups of tea and coffee drank each day is somehow what the potential of the market is.
Brilliant.
Fantastic. We've just got to have literally one more question. So, John, I have to go to you for this, as you are the resident food investor.
I am the food guy, but actually, to be honest, I'm struggling to find a question because Paul presented to Mission Ventures only a couple of weeks ago. So I know exactly what's going on in the business. But maybe something that would be of interest to the panel is, and everybody watching, is, Paul, what are you taking out of lockdown? Now that we're in our second one, in terms of how the market is shifting and how consumer behavior is changing, and what that means for your product. You talked about cafes under a lot of pressure right now in terms of lockdown. How do you see this panning out over the next 2 or 3 years for your product, given that we've been through lockdown, and what sort of stickability there might be from a consumer behavior point of view?
Yeah, I think the sort of area that we've shifted, like many businesses, we've sort of moved very much, created our own online shop. We've had enormous growth in terms of gifting hamper companies and everything. We're getting new inquiries every day to provide our products to go into hampers, because people are worried about Christmas parties not happening. So companies are starting to give gift hampers and everything. So what I touched on, I mean, this year, even despite COVID, we've grown the business by close to 40% in terms of revenue compared to the previous year. There is still, we're sort of a very flexible business to be able to move our business model from necessarily not doing the catering because of COVID, but being able to develop the markets in other areas with the online shop and direct to consumer.
Lovely. That's everything, all the questions and the pitches that we're going to see today. As you'll have seen, the people watching on Zoom, the poll has been turned on for the People's Choice vote. You've got a couple of minutes to vote, so make sure you do pick your favourite. I'm just going to really quickly go around the judges and get them to give sort of 1 or 2 bits of feedback. As we're doing that for the judges as well, if you could make sure you hit submit on the judging form, as our community manager will be tallying those all up in the background while we're chatting. So if you just submit quickly, that'd be fantastic. And Luke, yeah, I'm just going to go to you for some roundup comments. So great to just hear maybe 1 or 2 things that you really were impressed with today, or feedback for the people taking part.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think they made our job really easy, really, because I think they all pitched really well. They presented eloquently, concisely, and they hit a lot of the points that we were asking of them. So in many ways, they made our lives easy. And I was really pleased with the standard, the level of business that we saw here today. There's obviously been a lot of work put into the previous rounds and coaching the individuals on nailing their pitches, and it's really encouraging to see these businesses doing well despite COVID. I guess that would have been my one bit. It would have been interesting to see more about how COVID was impacting those businesses and how they were responding to the challenges, given that we're all in the midst of another lockdown. But yeah, everyone seems to be doing brilliantly, and I really look forward to seeing how these businesses go on and thrive in the future.
Fantastic, thanks there, Luke. And hopefully it's something CrowdCube will be able to continue to support them too. There that really suit community-led raise. Heather, do you want to go next?
I was trying to do two things and submit my scores. It was fantastic to see. It's my first time watching the pitch. So Chris, thank you for setting this up, and thanks to everybody for pitching today. It's just amazing to see the completely different businesses, very different approach to things. And I guess that bit, it was important to me, that whole passion and purpose within a business. And that came through in spades today from everybody. So well done. You've got some great businesses there and huge amounts of resilience that you're showing in terms of building those and taking them forward. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely lovely to see. And Ed?
I got completely the opposite view to Luke, in that I think this is the most impossible group to split in the world. They are brilliant, and I have to say, not without giving it away, if the litmus test is, if I've got £1 in front of me, where is it going to go? It's a really hard test to fulfill. Brilliant. And compared to previous years, these guys are on a different level. Stunning people, stunningly presented, and I love it. I really enjoyed my afternoon. Brilliant time. Well done, everyone.
Thanks so much, Ed. I really appreciate the enthusiasm there. And Ed was a judge a couple of years ago, and I think we've just taken over the pitch. So it's fantastic to hear about the improvement, and we really appreciate the community and the people that have helped us attract so many awesome startups. John and Alex, if you want to go first, but yeah, if John and Alex, can you also make sure in the background you're submitting that form too, because I think you're the last two to press the button, pull the trigger.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm hopeless at multitasking, so I'm going to have to do this and then get back to that. But I agree with Luke and Ed, sort of, but I know what Ed's getting at. It's a really tricky, difficult decision to kind of separate them all out. It's really noticeable that this is the final, right? I was involved in a previous session, and the quality, and the level of professionalism, and the number of times where the pitch covered all the questions I could ask, and I was really thinking, okay, what do I ask now? That's very telling. The pitch was really good. I mean, very quickly. Each time they told me about the product. Put it this way: the three things that are really important from an investment point of view, and a pitch should really succinctly convey, is the product works, what it does, what it achieves, the entrepreneur, the team, why they're passionate about it, what their backstory is, how they go about doing it, and the scalability of the opportunity. And those three things came out in spades so many times for me that I was really impressed, and I didn't have to dig that deeply to really understand all those three elements. And two or three pitches stood out for me. I'm not going to mention who they are. I've got to get back and fill out the form, but I thought it was a really high quality number in terms of, all 10 were exceptionally strong, all cross industry as well, really varied. A lovely range of different opportunities to quiz the entrepreneurs on. So I thoroughly enjoyed it as well, just like Ed mentioned. So great level of a great standard and great group of pitches, Chris. Loved it.
Brilliant, and thanks so much for taking part there, John. I really appreciate the support. Alex, it's over to you for the final sort of wrap up.
First and foremost, thanks, Chris, for inviting me to be part of this panel. Loved it thoroughly. Was worth every moment. And the pitch is excellent. I mean, I thought that my experience in Dragon's Den, I could come in here and really shut it down quite quickly. But they really came prepared, and the thought process that went into each of the businesses, you could see the passion that they had in their minds of what they're trying to achieve. Really, really good. I think my only thing will be, in terms of some of the questions that was asked by some of the judging panels, specifically asked for certain things. Some of the pictures didn't really answer them specifically, but apart from that, everything was really good. I really wish them all the success. There's a couple of businesses there that I'm definitely going to reach out to, and perhaps I can support on a one-to-one basis as well. So wish you all the best.
Lovely, and thanks so much to the judges. As you can see, we've just had the poll results in, and Punk Money have won the Pitch 2020 People's Choice. So congratulations to you and the team at Punk Money. Hopefully, Jeanette, can you get them back on the call to say a brief word? I have to wait for that for a moment. While we're waiting for Punk Money to rejoin as panelists, I just want to say a huge thanks to the judges. Really appreciate the wrap-up comments there. You're all phenomenal entrepreneurs in your own right, and I really appreciate that you're now taking the time to give back, both for investment, mentoring, and doing stuff like this. Ewan, do you want to say, or Nicholas, do you want to say a few quick words about the People's Choice?
Cool. Yes, of course. Yeah. Thanks so much, everyone who's voted for Punk Money on the People's Choice. It means a lot to us, specifically because our brand is all about people. It's all about putting the community first. So thank you very much indeed.
Lovely. And do you want to add any other quick mentions just while I check in with our community manager about the other scores?
Sorry, no, guys, well done. I was just looking at the sharing results and wish you were right up there too. So good on you guys. And it's quite interesting in terms of a direct B2C product. It's consumers who have said yes. Yeah, hats off to you. It's exactly what you want, isn't it? And yeah, big smiles.
Thanks very much, Ed.
And yeah, but yeah, I think it's fair to say, I'll back up what Alex was saying, is that I'd love to speak to you and most of the other people today on a personal level, offline, and yeah, please get in touch. Same to everyone else there.
Lovely, and it's just you now for the forum, John. We really did want to make the announcement today, so sorry we're sort of delaying it a moment, but I think John's just submitted it now. While Jeanette is adding up and checking the scores, I just wanted to reiterate the thanks and praise for the partners that support the pitch every year. We do it and we want it to support founders, and we want to keep it free and make it as accessible as possible. We really couldn't do it without them. So thanks to Luke and the team at Crowdcube, Heather and the team at Origin. We really do look forward to hosting it at Origin next year, not just online. And finally to Studio Graphene, Ritam, Nathan and the team there, and all the time they put in supporting the startups there. I think if you, Luke, just want to say one more thing maybe about what Crowdcube does, and then we really will make the announcement.
I was itching to follow up there, Chris, and just say a massive thank you to you and the team for continuing to do this year, because I guess back in the spring you were faced with a difficult decision, and you've shown the grit, tenacity, determination and passion for the pitch of any true entrepreneur to keep the show going and carry on regardless. So well done for continuing to do that throughout lockdown and over the summer and now as well, because it can't have been easy to shift it all to online, but I think you've done a brilliant job. Yeah, and I echo Ed's comments. I think the businesses today have been of a real high standard. I'd love to see every single one of them on Crowdcube. I think they would go down brilliantly. So yeah, it's been a really fun afternoon. I've enjoyed it immensely. I'm struggling to come up with any more filler now, Chris.
We have all the scores. We're almost there. John, if you could come up with one more bit of killer filler for us, and then we will make the announcement, and I won't keep toying with everyone's emotions.
Listen, Chris, you're quite right. Seems I was the one who's holding the whole process up. I could be the one for filling in for 30 seconds while they count the scores. I have submitted. I got to guarantee that. I think it's great that, and because the previous one that I judged was all about the food industry, really, or about a very specific category, and I think it's really interesting to look at cross-category entrepreneurial ideas and pitches in that context, because a lot of things are we have such a breadth of different sort of products with different routes to market and different concepts and different ideas. And some that I'm very familiar with, and others I had to kind of really think about. But the pitches of such a high quality, they brought it all to a level for me, which I got it pretty quickly. And that's a great measure of a pitch, I think. In a different industry, in a different category, or something that's not quite that I'm used to. Because I'm involved in a lot of businesses, either as an investor or as a mentor or as a business advisor, but they tend to be food and drink businesses, with one or two exceptions. So I get that quite easily. It's all about consumer-facing goods. Well, some of these other businesses are much more different routes to market. And so within a, whatever it is, 2-minute pitch or 3-minute pitch, you got to get it pretty quickly. So when the pitcher hands it to you on a plate, you get it pretty quickly. And that's what I really enjoyed about today. Trying to compare it's just a wide range of opportunities, trying to compare all those different opportunities against 4 criteria. It's sometimes quite tricky to do it quickly. Not that I was that quick, but I really enjoy the opportunity to do that. Love to come back next year and do it again. And so, yeah, I think it's a testament to the quality of the pitches. There were no laggards by any means, and there were 2 or 3 to me that I peaked above the top, a very high standard. And the rest were, there was a great body of guys right up there in the 80-90% category. So loved it. Thanks, Chris.
Brilliant. So we do have the scores in. We've got a tie for first place, which we've never had before. So normally we would have a sort of conference after and break it up. We obviously can't do that today, but I'm really proud to announce the 2 winners of the pitch. And if we could get Wish You and Terrible Merch back on the call, that would be fantastic. So thank you to Wish You and Terrible Merch, who are the Pitch 2020 champions. And cheers to Jeanette for working rapidly to get those scores put together. Lovely. I do miss having 100 or 200 people in the room to applaud you as you sort of come back on stage for champagne and all of that fun stuff. But I hope you appreciate it. It's just as valid this year. We had over 150 people watch the event, and I thought the pitches were fantastic. And obviously, Wish You came in right at the last minute to win it. So fantastic to you. If you want to start, Lavina, by saying a few words, that'd be great. Well, perhaps Tersh should go first, because I think Lavina's having problems with her audio.
Thank you guys so much. It's a real pleasure for me to pitch anytime and have anyone hear about the great things we're doing for music, and I'm really overwhelmed. Thank you so much. If anyone would like to get in touch and talk some more, you can get me at tasha@terriblemerch.com. But it's been a real pleasure, and I'm real honored. Thanks so much.
Brilliant, great job there, Tasha. And I know obviously you're in flux with COVID, and you've done an incredible amount this year, given that your industry is been really hit by everything going on. So fantastic work there. Lavina, do you want to say a quick word as well? Hopefully the sound's working now.
Oh, thank you so much. I was literally in the middle of an investor meeting, so I just have to excuse myself and jump back in here. Oh, thank you so much. Wow, that was a pleasure to be part of this amazing pitch. All of the pitches were so strong. And I think it's just, it really boosts me up to see so many incredible, talented startup founders and investors who are so engaged, even though we're in the second lockdown. I'm just so happy to be in this industry, and I'd love to push Wish forward and let everyone know the progress, and please follow us, our journey, and thank you so much again.
Lovely, really nice note to end it on there. First year we've had 2 winners, but the field was incredibly competitive. So thanks to everyone that take part. Thanks to the judges and thanks to our partners. Sorry we overran, but cheers for taking part in the Pitch 2020. Thank you and good night. I don't know if it's